do with trying to work on policy issues with Democrats, led by House Speaker Pelosi, who accuse him of engaging in a cover-up. And Mr. Trump says nothing can be accomplished until the Democrats abandon their phony investigations.
When they get everything done, I'm all set to let's get infrastructure, let's get drug prices down. In the meantime, we're doing tremendous work without them.
New York State lawmakers have approved legislation allowing President Trump's state tax returns to be released to congressional committees. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures down 236 points, S&P futures off 27. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Flooding is a huge problem right now, and we've got accidents. 70 eastbound, a right lane blocked at Jennings Station Road with a crash. Also, a crash is blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. And we've got 55 northbound closed, Revis Barracks to Bates. And southbound just flipped that. Also, 141 northbound closed between 44 and Elam. And southbound 141 between 44 and Merrimack Station closed with flooding. So all kinds of problems out there this morning. Traffic is sponsored by Indeed.com. Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions. Then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Joe Walsh has seen it all from the left.
Christine Quinn is her name, giving the Democrat view on abortion.
When a woman gets pregnant, that is not a human being inside of her. It's part of her body.
I've heard a lot. You heard her. It's not a human being. What is it then, a fish? What is it, a pineapple?
The Joe Walsh radio program. Weeknights at 8 on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. Breaking news. Stability Talk.
Did you know that every dollar you put into a piece of real estate makes you money 5 ways? Cash flow, money in your pocket each month. Equity capture, the thousands of dollars you create when you have the right team and buy the right property using the right map. Appreciation, real estate doubles in value about every 20 years. Equity buildup, renters pay down your mortgage each month. And finally, the tax advantage. We pay almost no taxes on our cash flow and capital gains. These are the 5 ways we make money in real estate, which is why real estate accounts for more millionaires in the world today than any other investment vehicle. You should have some real estate in your portfolio. To learn how, attend one of our free workshops. Call 866-971-8970 or go to 5waysweMakeMoney.com and register for the next available workshop. That's 866-971-8970 or go to 5waysweMakeMoney.com.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise.
And good morning, everybody, and happy Thursday to all of you. And as you wake up this morning, just be glad you're not waking up the way some residents of Jefferson City are waking up, or if they slept at all, because of this unbelievably violent but so far thankfully not deadly tornado that ripped through Jefferson City and beyond, a so-called wedge tornado, but it was the damage. You look at the damage, which has made national news, by the way. You look at the damage, and it is unbelievable, and it is only by the grace of God that nobody died in that thing, because that is really one hell of a tornado and a lot of damage. And I guess you can only chalk it up to the newfangled warning systems we have now and the ways that people deal with things, and also the fact that this tornado hit in what I guess you could call Jefferson City to a certain degree an urban area. It's more heavily populated, bigger buildings, that kind of thing. But I think if that thing ripped through some kind of place, we'll name a place that is less fortified, you'd have some really big problems down there. But yeah, it's been a crazy time, a crazy night down in Jefferson City. But thank God nobody was killed that we know of so far. So they haven't recorded any deaths there. And they haven't said what the size of the tornado was or what the deal was. But, this reminds me, and I was talking to some people the other day who were involved in the Joplin tornado, in response to the Joplin tornado, which happened around this time. I believe it was around this time in May that the tornado hit Joplin. And or maybe I'm mistaken, but here's the thing about the tornado warnings. When people tried to assess what happened in Joplin and the massive casualties that happened there, and there were a lot of disregarded warnings in Joplin. Joplin was quite possibly one of the most heavily predicted tornadoes in history, which is the sad thing. What happened is it's 160 people died in this thing. The largest single tornado event ever in the history of the United States happened in Joplin. And there were a lot of studies that showed that the National Weather Service and all the weather people, and again, this isn't to put blame on obviously the victims. This particular storm was really bad. This was a bad tornado, and survivability in a tornado situation like that, where you're even in a mobile home or something, is really hard. So I'm not trying to blame Joplin. Just bear with me here and stay with me on the science of this thing. And nowadays, people think that tornadoes can't happen in the rain. You're like, oh, good, it's raining. No problem now. And the fact of the matter is, the Joplin tornado was rain wrapped. So you couldn't really see it. And it was one of those rain wrapped tornadoes where because I was always under the impression that if it weren't you, Phil, like the tornado time was always beforehand, and then once it started raining, the danger kind of subsided. But that doesn't happen. The Joplin tornado was a rain-wrapped tornado. So, but it was also one of the most predicted tornadoes around ever since the National Weather Service started keeping records. And this isn't just the National Weather Service trying to cover itself. And in fact, I think actually, what is today? The 23rd? Okay, so yesterday was the anniversary of the Joplin tornado. So the National Weather Service did an after event assessment and interviewed a lot of people afterwards. And there were a lot of people who just didn't think it was going to happen. And the Weather Service and weathercasters, meteorologists, it's the one time they're right, because, and that's the other problem, is they're never correct. They're not never correct, but they're a lot of times they're not really correct about things. And so, and by the way, there's video of this Jefferson City tornado. Do video of that thing. I think that's the video of it. But there were people hospitalized there, but not dead. So anyway, it was about a week out when the National Weather Service and some of the people who could cover this kind of stuff were saying there's something bad coming to this part of Missouri. It's going to be bad. I don't know how they predicted, whatever, but they actually did say there were some really bad things coming their way. And there were a lot of people who were killed who after the families of them were interviewed who were with them, they just didn't think it was going to actually happen. And then about 25 to 30 minutes beforehand is when they really knew it was bearing down, but they had predicted there was going to be bad weather since that time and even a tornado since that time. So when you look at the fatalities, for instance, in Joplin, of the 160 fatalities, there were about 25 of them that occurred in businesses, Home Depot, Pizza Hut, and Walmart, and then about 21 and 15 fatalities occurred at the Greenbrier Nursing Home and St. John's Hospital, respectively. Sadly, some of those fatalities were because power went out and respirators were no longer able to operate. So some people just suffocated. They weren't killed by the damage. They just died because they couldn't breathe anymore. Anything that electrical that was sustaining these people, like at the nursing home or the hospital, broke down, and they were unable to save those people. So that's kind of a sad thing and underreported, but still it was the same thing. But there were a lot of people, mostly though, in homes and that kind of thing, who were killed too. But the death toll in Joplin was high because there were so many buildings and everything else were just damaged or destroyed. So on the one hand, while the Joplin tornado as an E5 was predictable, you know what they told you the other night, right? Go into your basements and that kind of thing. You die. People died in their basements in Joplin because people died taking shelter. Some of these people who died, like at the Walmart or the Home Depot, were taking shelter there. And so at some point, you can't, you really can't account for, some tornadoes are just going to level whatever it's in its path and suck people out of each other's arms and everything else. There's story after story. A lot of the first responders will tell you about what people told them about what happened. People taking all the advice in the world, sitting in a bathtub, or taking shelter in a bathtub, but holding their kid, and the kid is sucked out of their arms, never to be seen again, or next time they see them, they're dead. So sometimes even the best warnings possible in an E5, you're just not going to you're not going to survive it, even if you're in the basement or doing whatever you're doing. So it's one of those things where sometimes it's just really going to be bad, even as predictable as the only people that lived that were able to manage to live, avoid death in sure death situations in Joplin were the ones who said, you know what, I'm going to go stay at Auntie May's house in Sykeston. Those are the people who when their home was leveled, they survived because they left town. And there were some people who actually did leave town, but most people, you're just not going to do that, would you? 3 days out, somebody says, tell you 3 days from now, there's going to be this gigantic tornado. It's going to be terrible. But you're like, I don't know. Really? I mean, how many times have you done that? The other night, when there were sirens wailing and all kinds of stuff, I wasn't in a basement. But I thought, I hear they sound like locomotives, so If I hear a train, I'm going to pell-mell out of here. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm going to get out of here. But yeah, that's the thing. I always wonder about that. That sounds like a freight train. And I always wonder what it's like to actually hear a tornado. Have you ever heard a tornado, Phil? If you guys have, let me know what's up. At the calltammy.com real estate listener line, 844-855-1380.
Did Joplin happen during the day or the night?
It happened. I believe it happened on a Sunday when everybody was home. It was kind of at dusk, I believe. I don't know. I don't know for sure. So don't stick me to that. I can't remember. I thought it was a Sunday. I thought it was when everybody was. It was like the worst possible scenario for. No, because there were kids at school, so it couldn't have been a Sunday. So I don't know that. I apologize. I don't really know. Remember, it's a white tornado. That one. Remember that commercial for the cleaning product? See, I told you. I'm a commercial savant. It's a white tornado. Remember that one? What was it called? What was the product that went along with white tornado? It's a white tornado. And they come in and clean your house. I'll let me look it up while you people are doing whatever you're doing. Here, make me another fried egg, and I'll just I'll look it up myself. Thanks for nothing, people. You know what I mean? It's a white. I remember the here. It's an Ajax. Here, you want to hear it? This is from 1970. It's like, this is totally my wheelhouse. I was probably watching this. Is it on? Oh, I don't have it plugged in. Hang on, people. It's an operator error. But you know what? Here's one thing you can be glad is, A, you're not paying for this. And B, you're not on my airplane. See? So there's an upside to everything. You know what I'm saying? You're not on Allman in the Morning Airlines. Oops, I forgot to plug this in. Darn, you're taking up. Oh, darn, I got to plug that in. Here.
Hi. Say, could you fix
Careful,
this?
ma'am. I'm unleashing a white tornado.
Ajax liquid. That's my cleaner.
You use this powerful stuff around the house?
Ajax is the only cleaner to use anywhere. Ajax is the one with more ammonia.
This really does heavy-duty cleaning.
You mean every-duty cleaning.
Ajax liquid has more ammonia, cleans like a white tornado.
Yeah, I don't know. When they say cleans like a white tornado, I'm not quite sure whether there's any been like an example of a tornado cleaning anything, but it cleans just like a white tornado.
How about a movie tonight, huh?
What does that mean? Like, you know. Oh, look, here's another one.
Wow, what's that aftershave you're wearing?
Oh!
You high karate.
High karate!
It drives women right out of their minds. That's why we have to put instructions on self-defense in every...
I love that guy's voice, too. It drives women right out of their minds. It's awesome. High karate. Actually, they had a great commercial for high karate where the guy's out where they're picking whatever ingredient there is that's in high karate. He's like out in the field. All these women kind of descend on him. He's got to bat them off. That's a great. That was one of the greatest marketing ploys around. Was the high karate. We had to fight women off of you because they loved how you smelled. Would they ever do that now? I think they should do it now. That would be, you know. I guess in the Me Too world, you wouldn't.
High karate, the brisk splash-on aftershave that smooths and soothes and cools
and cleans like a white tornado. It smells like a white tornado. They might as well have said that because, you know, there's never been one instance of a tornado cleaning anything. And there's not actually, when he references a white tornado that cleans like a white tornado, there actually was never really any example of a white tornado in existence anywhere. And so he, you know, let's analyze commercials here at Allman in the Morning. the commercial analysis hour. We could do that all day long. I'd love to do that. That'd be my wheelhouse. I can talk about Pelosi and Trump all day long if you want me to. But if you really want to talk, let's talk commercials. Let's talk about that guy who cuts that soap sitting on a fence in Ireland and says, this is like taking a bath in Ireland. It's like, really? Yes. Watch me cut this soap because you could see the inside. That was back in the day when they always told you about, like, everything was like technology and look at the inside. Remember, or they had those breath mints with that gel in the middle of them that squirted out. Everything was about technology. Even cigarette filters, Parliament's filters are technologically designed to. It's like, really? Yes. Look at what's inside a plastic honeycomb. Technology created by scientists who, they came up with all these ways to make cigarettes healthier. We designed a filter that really doesn't do anything, but it looks cool. It did. Remember like that? Remember Dural's? They had those filters. They like filters too. Anyway, look at me over time. 6:22, just babbling on about commercials. I don't know. I could do that all day long. All right, so coming up, we're going to talk about the whole Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump. This was, this is where really games really get so tiresome. And it's only when the media decides you're just simply going to adopt. This is why they do it. This is why Nancy Pelosi did what she did, because she knew the news media was going to not blame her for what happened yesterday and that it would be all Donald Trump's fault in the end. We'll talk about that. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
More Allman in the morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Well, we have some good news with the flooding issues. 55 northbound either way between Revis, Barracks, and Bates. That has reopened. 141 northbound between 44 and Elam is reopened after earlier flooding. And 141 southbound 44 to Merrimack Station. But we do still have a couple of accidents. 70 eastbound at Jennings Station Road, a right lane blocked there. We can see that from the jam cam at Jennings Station. And a crash is blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. The intersection of Gravois and Hampton still closed for utility work. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Dentistry with TLC, the T, the L, and the C. Tender Loving Care and Tender Loving Comfort and Tender Loving Convenience. That's what it's all about at Dentistry with TLC. Dr. Anna Smith. She's there in Godfrey, Illinois. But let me tell you something. It doesn't matter where you are. And the thing about St. Louis, which is really a good thing, is that so many places are really only, regardless of how they sound far away, they're really only about 20 minutes away from anywhere you happen to be, thanks to the beautiful highway system we have here. Anyway, you can get to Godfrey, Illinois very easily. But she also knows it's still a trip. But it's worth it because you're going to Godfrey and you're getting the kind of care you're not going to get anywhere else when it comes to the kind of expertise you're getting from Dr. Anna Smith. So she is the fastest teeth straightener in the land. She's got the technology that no one else has. She's a master at it. She actually has come to, after being schooled with it, has come back to the bi-state area and taught other dentists how to do it. So she's a master at it, and so she's able to teeth straighten faster than anybody. She's also a master when it comes to root canals and when it comes to implants. So you're getting root canals that are no longer than 15 minutes, and it's totally pain-free, and so you're going to love what she can do for you there as well. She also has a $19 dental plan, which is an insurance plan. A lot of people kind of don't have the kind of dental insurance that they used to have these days, so this covers all of the basics and also gives you a percentage off when you actually get work done. And she's also able to get you in at a moment's notice. So if there's something bothering you now, I guarantee you over the next couple of days, the likelihood is super strong that you're going to be able to get in. Even on a Thursday, you text her. When you go to dentistry.tlc.com, you're going to see the number there. You text her and say, I have this going on. They'll get back to you, and chances are really good they're going to get you in within the next 48 hours or so. So check it out on the web. It's dentistrywithtlc.com. It's dentistrywithtlc.com.
Curtains, shades, blinds, shutters. What are the best for living rooms or bedrooms? Let me tell you about the quality customized service you will receive when you call Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael Proctor is an interior designer with exceptional expertise when it comes to window treatments for your home or business. Michael Proctor has served our St. Louis area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He is also a top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your first choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Call Michael Proctor today and schedule your in-home consultation with Michael's mobile design unit. He will come to you. Weekend and evening appointments are available. The one-on-one appointment with Michael Proctor will ensure the look is exactly what you're looking for in your home or business. Cut down on the risk of error and make your home great again. Proctor Drapery is the answer. Schedule your appointment today with Michael. Contact Michael at proctordrapery.com. It's Proctor spelled like doctor.
Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380.
844-855-1380.
And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
You know what? Let me tell you something. That whole high karate thing, it drives women mad. It was like, that was back in the day when they treated women like they were like little kittens. You know what I mean? This little kitty's gonna go crazy. It's like, I don't know. People accepted that back in those days. And it's true. Women can be like little kitties, though, still. But you can't say that. But they can be. You can't say that like on a commercial. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Father Tom pointed out on Facebook that Axe kind of ripped off the kind of
did.
campaign they had there with women going
We'll
crazy.
be back, folks.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. A swarm of tornadoes has cut a path of destruction across parts of Missouri and Oklahoma. Jefferson City, Missouri was especially hard hit, although there were no fatalities there. However, 3 people were killed north of Joplin. John Walker Lind, the 38-year-old California man, became known as the American Taliban after he was captured on an Afghanistan battlefield in late 2001, scheduled to be released from prison later today. It is not a done deal, but 10,000 more U.S. troops could be headed to the Mideast to act as a deterrent against Iranian aggression. The Pentagon expected to deliver a plan for that to the White House later today. On Wall Street, stock futures are sharply lower. Dow futures down about 221 points. S&P futures off 24. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Most of the flooding problems that we had overnight are pretty much gone, but we are still under a flood warning until 7:30 this morning. An accident blocks the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70, and 70 eastbound stop and go Lucas and Hunt to Jennings Station Road, where a right lane is blocked with a crash as well. The intersection of Gravois and Hampton remains closed for utility work, and 109 is blocked in both directions at Old State Road because of some police activity going on there. Otherwise, it's pretty good. Traffic is sponsored by eBay. You know when you're shopping and find the right thing, then you see the price and you're like, wait, it's how much? But did you check eBay? So you do check eBay, and eBay has that thing you want for the price you want. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Dad, what are you doing?
Cramming for college.
I'm the one going to college.
Yeah, but we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it all.
Discover Student Loans.
Discover does student loans?
Yeah, they're one of the top private student loan lenders in the country. It takes 15 minutes or less to apply, and there are no fees for the life of the loan. Best of all, I can earn cash rewards if I get good grades.
Really?
Yeah, we still have time to apply and get a great rate.
So I can just chill. College kids still say that, right?
No one says that, Dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Visit discoverstudentloans.com to apply today. Limitations apply.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
It's the Memorial Day sale at Ace. Right now, get great deals like buy one, get one 50% off on gallons of our top paint brands, like Valspar and Clark & Kensington. And with our Ace Extra Mile promise, we'll help you get everything you need to paint in one trip, or delivery is free. Don't miss the Memorial Day sale at Ace. Buy one, get one 50% off our top paint brands, now through Monday. Limit 2. Delivery subject to availability. Visit acehardware.com for details.
Health insurance premiums making you sick? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I have the answer. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency serving Missouri and Illinois. This is non-Obamacare, and you can enroll anytime. You don't have to wait for open enrollment. Why should you have to pay for maternity coverage and pediatric dental care if you don't need it? KDDI-INS.com. KDDI-INS.com or call Joyce at 877-695-0245. 877-695-0245. This is the answer. This is the solution. KDDI-INS.com.
Tune in to Moxie Minutes with Gia, Saturday mornings at 10 to learn about all things parenting. Moxie Minutes with Gia is the closest you'll get to that manual that doesn't come with your kids. Educators, physicians, therapists, and ministers will join Gia to discuss sleep habits, overscheduling, mental health, tech, and so much more. Submit your questions on Facebook at the Learn with Moxie Facebook page and tune in to Moxie Minutes with Gia every Saturday morning at 10. Brought to you by Allstate Insurance, the Doug Felsch Agency.
Larry Elder, tonight at 5. Now, back to Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
You like Electric Light Orchestra there, Phil? It's called Laredo Tornado. From their unbelievably fantastic album, El Dorado. Back in 1974, y'all. Probably one of the most underrated bands in the history of man. You know what I mean? Where are those guys these days, you know?
Jeff Lynne's still around, man. He's the original. I'm not taking these sunglasses off guy.
Yeah,
the original, I'm not taking these sunglasses
off guy. It's awesome, man. Yeah, so it was on a Sunday. I don't know why I thought it was on a Sunday, but then I was second guessing myself because I was wondering about. I thought there were kids in school, but I think that was the thing that was so fortunate and God grace that there weren't kids in school. Maybe that was it. With 160 people dying in the Joplin tornado, the anniversary of such was yesterday. And then we had this devastating tornado in Jefferson City where and that happens in the middle of the night, and there is no one killed that we know of. There's a few people hospitalized. So far, no fatalities, but the damage there is pretty crazy. And Phil told me when I came in, it was called a wedge tornado. I don't know what that means, but probably comes in sideways or something. I mean, you never know. There's always something new with these tornadoes. It's like they come in. Oh, this one came in sideways. It's like, oh, really? That happens? Yes. It's like, oh, really? That now I got to worry about that? Yes, the tornado came in and took a few passes, then landed. It's like, oh, okay, gotcha. Then of course, even with Joplin, again, I must remind you that was a rain curtain tornado. That means like it was raining. And I'm sure everybody like you and I always think, when it stops raining, it's like, when it starts raining, then we're all home free. You always think that, and that's not the case. Yes, Phil, Valencia.
Oh, this will help you out.
Yes.
You're remembering the kids because graduation had just ended.
Oh, okay.
That's what Facebook's saying. So
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for that, people. Yeah, it was really pretty amazing. My friend Tammy is a nurse, and she was down there. She was among many of the people down there. Tammy Scott, you guys probably know just from Facebook and beyond, and who's been a long-time listener to the show. But she was telling me she went down there as a nurse, as a whole group of first responders went down there. You can't really, when you look back on it, these things happen, and then the aftermath isn't covered as much. I mean, obviously, the aftermath is covered for like a week. But the aftermath isn't covered as much in terms of the true painstaking nature of what these first responders did after that Joplin tornado. I mean, I remember Jeff Hansen Street Service. They went down there and they threw all kinds of love their way with help down there for the Joplin people, with trucks and all kinds of things. It's amazing the power of the individual. But yeah, a lot of people went down there to help in the hospitals and take care of people who were injured, but also take care of the people who were already in the hospitals who still needed help as well. And so the first responder story of the Joplin tornado has yet to be fully told. But I think if you just ask around, you'll talk. If you ask around probably to anybody or some people, they'll tell you they were down there for that as well. So it's pretty amazing. The governor has spoken about the situation and has said that there are about 20 people treated at a hospital, but they don't know. They don't think there were any fatalities. So it's pretty amazing. So thank God for that. And it clearly wasn't the kind of tornado that I'm sure hit Joplin, which was an E5, which at some point, as I mentioned earlier, isn't survivable. It just is. Even if you're in a basement, sometimes you're going to get it regardless. All right. So yesterday there was a ton of drama with the White House. And at some point, I don't know why the media just doesn't call a spade on this thing. And the reason why Nancy Pelosi, who is a witch, by the way, what a horrible woman she is. Nancy Pelosi is a shiny-faced witch, a doddering old fool. And I'm sorry to be so nasty about it, but she is. She is a game-playing, manipulative beast. And why people just simply don't call this spade a spade is beyond me. How is it possible? And the reason why it shouldn't be beyond me, though, I hit myself because I should know better already. I should know. You understand why these politicians do what they do and why they do such outrageous things, because they know they're going to get away with it. They know they're not going to be held accountable for it. They know that automatically, if something is anti-Trump, it's going to be reported dutifully by the news media. It doesn't matter what it is. And so, like a dog, Nancy Pelosi is trained to respond in certain ways to certain things and knows what happens and knows what her masters will do. It's as predictable as the sunrise. So they have a meeting scheduled to talk about infrastructure, which is a simple thing. I'm not a big, I don't know why the federal government's involved in road building and everything else. I think states ought to take care of their own business, but I'm not a big infrastructure person. In terms of like billions of dollars in infrastructure, I don't trust it. I know that it is a means of that at some point, and I realize Eisenhower started the interstate system and blah. I get it. And the interstates are all federal, and the interstates apparently aren't a problem though. I think they're just fine things. The Robert KKK Byrd Highway 68 going through West Virginia. When I used to go out to when I would drive or do whatever to D.C. or New York or go on vacation where my mom lived on the Jersey Shore, heading out east, that was the preferred way. 70 was one thing, but you'd have to go through Ohio, and everybody in Ohio is a horrible driver. And Ohio is the worst possible place to drive. I don't know why, but Ohio is a miserable place, and the people of Ohio are miserable drivers for some reason. I don't know. So you got to go through 70 there, through Columbus and beyond. And so the more scenic route is normally 68, which drops down a southern route. It takes you through West Virginia and that area there, and then pops you back up through Maryland into D.C., whatever. And 68 was one of those highways that was kind of just thrown in there. It was actually built back in the day. It goes right by a place called the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia, which I've been to. I did a whole story about it, which is where they have a duplicate Capitol in the basement of the Greenbrier Hotel. And did you know that, Phil, about the Greenbrier? Oh, during the Cold War, the Greenbrier Hotel had a bunker that was active in the basement of the Greenbrier Hotel, and it was a bunker. And I've been through it. It's like a congressional. It's like Mount Weather, which I went to also in outside of D.C., where they have a duplicate Capitol there too. That's where they all flew after 9/11. They all helicoptered up there. Gephardt and everybody else. The people who were the House leadership, congressional leadership, were all helicoptered to Mount Weather, where they have a duplicate House of Representatives, a duplicate Senate, everything. It's called Mount Weather. Remember, we were driving up around there, and they had like hardly any security up there. It was right after 9/11. We're like poking around in there. They got cameras everywhere. It wasn't long before we were like nabbed by the FEMA police. Yeah, and a police force that I didn't know existed until I was nabbed by them. And these are FEMA police. They've got guns and they got outfits, uniforms, and it's the FEMA. But that's the FEMA command center at Mount Weather. So they have a duplicate place there. They also have a hole in a mountain where they took Cheney in Pennsylvania. There's a little mountain bunker in the side of a mountain in Pennsylvania that we couldn't get to. But then they had the Greenbrier Hotel back in the Cold War. They go down there and they would have that would be the place where, not now it's the place where remember the Republicans ran over those two guys in the train tracks? They were all headed down to Greenbrier with their families. Thank you, America. At the time when they iced those two guys on the road whose truck stalled on the train tracks. Remember that? And everybody's worried about, whether you had two guys who were obliterated by the train, but we're all worried, like, is Congressman blah, blah, blah okay? It's like, yeah, they're okay. They're on a train that hit two guys. I'd imagine that the two guys are probably the ones you need to be mostly concerned about. But anyway, they were down there. But if you go to the Greenbrier Hotel, down below, they had a whole compound where that would be where the members of Congress would all be evacuated to. I don't know whether you know this or not, but in the event of a huge disaster, you're on your own. These guys will all be in a bunker someplace. You will not be. That's the plan, at least. You're not part of that plan. I'm just letting you know right away that you will not be choppered out of any place. Just telling you. Anyway, so they go down and just to keep continuity of government, so they built that thing down there at the Greenbrier Hotel. The Greenbrier Hotel is really nice, but below it is all this networking. And you go down there, it's just like going into a time capsule. It's all 50s stuff, everything is like frozen in time. And that's where they would send everybody. And so anyway, so Interstate 68, when Eisenhower built the interstate system, it just so happens that Interstate 68, you're driving down Interstate 68, and you're going, why am I going through like all these, like Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, and all these, and Sulphur Springs, and blah, blah, blah. Why am I going through all these little small towns? Because Eisenhower built the interstate system so it drove right through there. Because aside from being an emergency place, it's also where Eisenhower liked to play golf and do all that kind of stuff. So they built this Interstate 68. If you really look into it, goes right through. It's like it dips down like right into this really rural part of West Virginia, and that's because it goes right past the whole the place where everybody loves to go in the case of emergency or for leisure. Anyway, to my point about infrastructure. So I understand the whole infrastructure game. I get it. But I'm not a fan of the infrastructure package. It sounds too Roosevelt to me. And so I don't really trust it. But it's the one thing that Democrats and Republicans agree on, of course, because they always agree on spending money. So this was an easy thing. This was an easy meeting that was going to be taking place between Pelosi, Schumer, and Trump. So before the meeting, what does the Wicked Witch of the East do? She has a news conference before her meeting with the president on something that Republicans, Democrats most agree on. This is what she does.
It was a very positive meeting, a respectful sharing of ideas, and I think a very impressive presentation by our chairs. We do believe that it's important to follow the facts. We believe that no one is above the law, including the President of the United States, and we believe that the President of the United States is engaged in a cover-up, and that was the nature of the meeting.
So the president's sitting in the Oval Office waiting for his meeting to start with this hag, and he's watching this. He's going, I'm supposed to have a meeting with this witch in about 15 minutes. What is she doing this? Saying I'm engaged in a cover-up, which of course is accusing me of being a criminal. So of course the president goes ahead and he has the meeting anyway, which is amazing to me. At that point, I'm turning the TV off and turning the lights out, and I'm going to sit on my yoga mat for a little while. Forget the meeting. I don't think the president has a yoga mat, but it'd be great if he did. Very few people have a yoga mat. If you do, you're one of those esteemed members of the citizenry. But nonetheless, I would just turn the lights out and say, forget, I'm not having this meeting. But the president knew that how this was going to go, and so did Nancy Pelosi. She knew how this was going to go. And Nancy Pelosi is a cynical, dishonest witch who knew exactly how things were going to transpire, but she also knew how the media was going to ape whatever line she gave them. And in fact, John Roberts, who's a correspondent for Fox News, admitted he was like, I was going to go to a chiropractor appointment that morning. I knew they were going to have a meeting. I was going to go to a chiropractor appointment, but then I saw her do this. I'm thinking, oh, I think I'm going to skip it and just wait and see what this happens, because she's on her way to the Oval Office. But she knew what the media would do. Because she said the president's involved in the cover-up, they would automatically take her side. And so whatever happened after that didn't matter. And the Democrats, who are so foolish, because by the time 2020 rolls around, their domination of the House would have benefited Americans zero. It's the one thing they possibly could have gotten done before the 2020 election is some bipartisan infrastructure deal, and they don't even do that. They don't even do that. So going into 2020, Nancy Pelosi, House Speaker, and the Democrat-led House of Representatives would have accomplished nothing. Nothing. They have nothing to tell their voters at all when they go back to town to campaign. Nothing. And the president actually knows that too. And so at this point, he was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make you suffer the way I should have made you suffer before. I'm going to make you suffer even more now, and we're not doing anything till after the election. Boom. Guaranteeing that by the time all is said and done, the House will have done nothing. The Republican-led legislature, the Democrat-led legislature has nothing to show for its victory in 2018. Nothing. You can't name one, except for hearings and accusations, and that's about it. And, of course, the media dutifully regurgitated everything from her mouth and acted like it was the president who had a hissy fit. Pretty amazing, this world we live in. You taking notes? I hope you have the Allman in the Morning notebook ready to go, because you have to take notes, because you got to keep up with how the world works. It's not how normally you work, so you got to make sure you keep notes so you know and you're reminded every day about it. The calltammy.com real estate listener lines, 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
Call the show at 844-855-1380 and interact with Jamie on the calltammy.com listener line. That's 844-855-1380. More Allman in the Morning next on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Well, our overnight flooding problem's pretty much gone, but we are still under a flood warning until 7:30 this morning. Couple of accidents. 70 eastbound jammed up Lucas and Hunt at Jennings Station. Right lane blocked there with a crash. We can see it from the jam cam at Jennings Station. And an accident blocks the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. Now we've got 270 northbound starting to tighten up Big Bend to Manchester. And 109 is blocked in both directions at Old State Road with police activity. Traffic is sponsored by TrainInfo.com Heating and Cooling. Enjoy comfort year-round with a new Train heating and cooling system. At Train, they test so it runs. For a limited time, you can get a great deal on a qualifying new Train system. Visit TrainInfo.com to find your local dealer. That's TrainInfo.com. It's hard to stop a train. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
So, Banner Construction, I keep reminiscing about, really, in the end, what a great teammate they have been with Allman in the Morning. And I look back on 2005 when they first started with me and thinking, wow, we've been together for that long. I've been a customer of theirs on 3 big projects. I mean, big ones. I'm talking about the James Hardy fiber cement siding. I'm talking about the vinyl siding. I'm talking about the roofing. And on down the line with Bill and Sam, and they've been friends of mine for a long time, and it's just amazing. And none of us have aged a bit. And they're just great guys. And they also are complaint-free in the home remodeling business. Man, that's one of the hardest terrains to navigate is the home business. You're going to get people complaining about everything in this business. Well, let me tell you something. Go to the Better Business Bureau, go to anywhere else and run them through that spanking machine, and you're going to see that these guys are spotless. I mean, it's amazing. I've always said, I've been with them since 2005. And normally, if somebody has a complaint about somebody, I'll hear about it. But they have. The only complaint I got, again, I hate to beat this to death, but by somebody who was so far away, they still heard me or heard about them, and wanted them to come out to a place that was just too hard for them to get to. I mean, it was way out in the middle of nowhere, and it was 3 hours away, and it was like, okay, we really don't do that. But nonetheless, they are just so good at what they do, and so when it comes to workmanship, there are no complaints at all. And service and pricing, you can't beat Banner Construction. 569-1050, bannerconstruction.com. Call Banner and have a Banner day.
KXFN, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Greetings, St. Louis. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. Excited to welcome Jamie Allman back to St. Louis Radio. As a longtime supporter and sponsor of Allman in the Morning, my goal as his trusted advisor is to make sure that you are in good hands. With over 70 years of combined staff experience, my team of agents and I know how to make sure that you get the best value for the money you spend on your insurance. Is your insurance company currently hiding behind a website, out of town, or just a call center with no accountability to you or our community? Would you like to speak to the same person every time you call? Is there a new roof on your home? Do you have a teenage driver in your family? Has your credit score improved greatly over the last few years? You can email me at matthewmitchell@allstate.com, or you can call my agents at 855-QUOTE-ME. Folks, there is safety in numbers. Put the power of Allstate to work for you as America's largest and strongest insurance company. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. Again, the number to call is 855-QUOTE-ME.
Hey, don't just listen to Allman in the Morning. See the show at theanswerstl.com. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Such is the way of the world, you can never know just where to put all your faith and how will it grow. Gonna rise up, burning black holes and dark memories. Gonna rise up, turn mistakes into gold.
Have a guy from the Forbes magazine. I call him a guy from the Forbes magazine, but he's actually the publisher of Forbes magazine. He's written a book, The Power of Patience in a World Obsessed with Early Achievement, by self-described late bloomer Rich Karlgaard. And it's kind of in the wake of all this college scandal and the history of the SAT test, and its own creator, the SAT creator, says that the SAT is baloney, and yet it's become an obsession among not just parents but also college people. So we'll talk more about that and about this book. Also, I'm going to follow up on the Nancy Pelosi game she played, and predictably, of course, as you all know, I've told you, whether it be a constitutional crisis or existential threat or what have you, the media just apes anything that comes out of the mouths of the Democrat leadership, and it becomes their thing. Joe Concha talked about that on Tucker Carlson's show, and we're going to follow up with that as well. Plus your phone calls, the calltammy.com, real estate listener lines 844-855-1380. Good morning this morning. It's Common Sense Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. 3 people killed, widespread destruction, the result of a wave of tornadoes that ripped across parts of Missouri and Oklahoma overnight. Correspondent Dave Lieb says it was a very long night for people in Missouri's hard-hit capital city.
One of the buildings hit in Jefferson City was an apartment complex near the YMCA. The outer wall of the YMCA has collapsed, and people in the apartment complex say they were awakened to the roof being blown off their building and debris falling down.
Jefferson City Police Lieutenant Dave Williams urging people who are safe at home to stay put.
My message, first and foremost, is that we need people that are not affected to stay out of those areas. We would hate to have to get resources in place by arresting people who should not be there that are in the way.
The 3 fatalities occurred north of Joplin, Missouri. Today, the severe weather threat has shifted to the east. After 17 years in a federal prison, the man known as the American Taliban is scheduled for release today. 38-year-old John Walker Lynn was captured on a battlefield in Afghanistan in late 2001. The Pentagon will ask the White House for permission to send up to 10,000 more U.S. troops to the Mideast to counter Iranian aggression. Formal request expected later today. Global aviation officials have gathered in Texas for an FAA update on the Boeing 737 MAX jetliner.
All MAX jets were grounded worldwide in March, days after a deadly crash in Ethiopia. It was the second crash of a MAX jet in 5 months, preceded by a crash in Indonesia last October.
Correspondent Mike Gracia says the acting FAA chief vows to keep the planes grounded until there's absolutely no doubt about the aircraft's airworthiness. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures are down 221 points. S&P futures 25 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We're picking up a few more delays out there to go along with a couple of accidents. We still have a crash blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. And 70 eastbound, you're backed up. Lucas and Hunt to Jennings Station, where a right lane is still blocked there with a crash. You can see it from the jam cam at Jennings Station. 270 northbound getting heavier. Gravois to Manchester's your backup. Then westbound, it's Old Halls Ferry to West Florissant. 6440 eastbound, 170 to Big Bend slows. And that earlier police activity on 109 in both directions at Old State Road has cleared. Traffic sponsored by eBay. You know when you're shopping and find the right thing? Then you see the price and you're like, wait, it's how much? But did you check eBay? So you do check eBay. And eBay has that thing you want for the price you want. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Dana Lash.
Anyway, William Barr, where I am, I would go in, my two assistants on either side, and they would unpack these packages, and they are inflatables, and I would slowly begin to inflate them after the session was gavelled in. And as they asked questions, slowly, because they're very curious as to what I'm inflating on either side of the table, they would be two giant blue middle fingers.
The Dana Show. Weekdays at 1 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Rick Pogue here with Arrowhead Building Supply, the region's #1 specialty exterior building supplier. Arrowhead has the widest range of exterior products, from the most economical and commodity items to our highest-end outside elegance collection. If you need a contractor, Arrowhead supplies products to hundreds of the best contractors and builders in the business. Call us for a contractor referral and rest easy. The Arrowhead Cube Home Visualizer tool means you can upload an actual photo of your home and change it with just a touch of your finger. Now you can be 100% confident in your selections before they are installed in your home. Our product showrooms are the largest and most beautiful in the industry. We make it simple to experience a full range of siding, roofing, window, door, deck, and even stone options for your home or business. Check us out at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com or visit an Arrowhead showroom near you today in St. Peters, Missouri, Peebly, Missouri, and Fairview Heights, Illinois. Arrowhead Building Supply. Building supplies for building success. arrowheadbuildingsupply.com.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Thursday to all of you. And I am pleased, honored to welcome Forbes publisher Rich Karlgaard, who I'm pleased to say is an amazing person, an amazingly accomplished person. And I'm pleased to also announce that he and I have one thing in common, at least. And that is that we were both dishwashers at one time in our lives. And look where we are now. Rich Karlgaard, welcome to the program. Congratulations on all your success. And thank you for sharing a modicum of balance that we as parents need to have in our lives as we kind of look at this college scandal. The book is called Late Bloomers, The Power of Patience in a World Obsessed with Early Achievement. Rich Karlgaard, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, thanks for having me. I'll take your dishwasher and raise you a security guard and night watchman's job.
Look at you, man.
But no. I wrote this book, Late Bloomers. I was very fortunate that I ultimately bloomed from a very slow start. Really wasn't until my late 20s that I felt my brain coming together and I was ready to take on adult responsibilities. But that was then, and I think it was easier to be a late bloomer then. We didn't have social media. We didn't have these tremendous pressures that we're putting on kids today to get the best test scores, the best grades, all with the idea of going to the most expensive school that will bankrupt a lot of families and put kids into the debt for the rest of their lives. And somebody has to call halt to this, and I wanted to start a conversation about why this insanity about early achievement is it just isn't working out for a lot of kids and families.
Boy, and it's a hard jungle to navigate too, because you have so much pressure. The one kid whose family takes your advice is among 10 kids whose family will not, and that's a lot of pressure on everybody essentially. So tell me first about, regarding the college scandal, how does this book frame into that situation?
Well, the book had gone to press. Wasn't out, but it was in printing when the college scandal happened. But I think the college bribery scandal is just the perverse and logical endpoint of parents who will do anything to give their kids a boost today. Now, where I live in Silicon Valley, middle-class families casually talk of spending $50,000 over a 4-year high school career to give their kids tutors, test preppers, and all of that kind of stuff. So if you have the money, then you up the ante. And it's insane because neurological research clearly shows that we have these multiple decades where we can bloom and come into our own in different ways. So why bet it all on great test scores and grades when we're 16 or 17 years old?
Yeah, and you point out in one element of the book where you point out the history of the SAT test, which is fascinating.
Well, yeah. I mean, I went into this research. I spent 4 years researching this book, holding a lot of respect for IQ tests and SAT tests, and I came out of it with that idea pretty thoroughly debunked. I mean, all the early IQ testers from Lewis Terman at Stanford and then Carl Brigham, who developed the SAT in 1926, were part of the eugenics movement, which believed that people of Northern European heritage were cognitively and otherwise superior to people of escalating darker hues of skin. And Carl Brigham, thank God, had profound regrets about his creation, the SAT test. He called it a great sin and a glorious fallacy.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, and here we are today. Here we are today putting more emphasis on it. And sure, now colleges are trying to take into consideration, some of them anyway, hardship and all of those kinds of things. But there's an iron law about any kind of a standardized test. Once it's standardized and it's out there, it'll be gamed. It'll be gamed over time. It'll be gamed by people who hire tutors. It'll be gamed by people who figure out the algorithm. And it's just a ridiculous way to measure human potential. Think about the kid who might be a really great carpenter or welder, and all that kid knows coming through school is that he can't sit still, and the school system is labeling as stupid.
Yeah.
And because the testing system and the grading system doesn't reveal his strengths, it reveals his weaknesses. And then you think about all the human gifts out there, God-given gifts, that go undiscovered because we have such a narrow view of what kids should be accomplishing. And that just makes me mad. That's what really motivated me to write this book. and to share my own kind of goofball stories of what a goofball I was in my teens and 20s.
Yeah, there's where we can really start talking about that kind of stuff. You know, it's interesting too because we have this new, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit regarding the SAT test. We have all these people now coming and wanting to inject new ways to manipulate the results based on this, based on background, based on that. But at that point, I would imagine that it's a good argument that you could make even that then why have the test at all? I mean, if you're going to start to kind of manipulate, you know, income levels and where they came from and what geographical part they came from and inject that into a shading of the results of a test, you might as well not even have the test at that point. In fact, that the very fact that they're trying to manipulate all these factors is actually speaks to what you're arguing now.
Yeah, that any test will be gamed over time.
Yeah.
People figure out that goes for the tax code. That goes for sort of anything of human construct. You know, people will figure out how to game it over time, and then it becomes ever more useless. Well, you know what we ought to do in the United States, sir? We ought to. I came out of this research a big believer that we need to find the money to put skilled trades training back in public high schools. Only one out of 20 offers it. And you think about all the great skilled trade jobs out there. The great TV host Mike Rowe, I think, is a national hero for calling attention to how cool some of those jobs are. And, you know, people at 25 years old with going to school for 9 months if they're willing to work a little overtime, can make six figures. And then if they decide to go to college later, they can always do that. I heard of a welder who decided at age 26 to become a civil engineer. Now, what employer wouldn't want somebody who'd been both a welder and a degreed civil engineer? That, to me, is the ideal employee who's focused, knows what he or she wants to do.
Boy, I'd say. Well, you and I don't know how old you are. I'm 56, but back in my day, we did have like a shop class, and we had an auto mechanics class. I mean, a lot of times we kind of goofed around. I had a chance to like work on my 1971 Impala's water pump. But I also knew by the time I left high school what a lathe was, though, and not many people do, and that dovetails into my question. And I realize you have taken chances in your life, so you're not averse to people taking chances. So I'm going to take a chance with this question with you. So you're in Silicon Valley.
Sure.
You're in a place where there are a lot of great minds, and you're also in a place though where we have imported a lot of minds. So we've imported a lot of people, technologically savvy people, supposedly, from foreign countries because we don't have enough, apparently, technologically savvy people here. So do you believe that this obsession with the college and the obsession with the SAT, it sounds like you do because you want to go back to the days where, well, we're getting to that point now because I was pleased to see so much emphasis on STEM teaching. We have in St. Louis here, downtown St. Louis, there's an entire school devoted to coding. And there are also so many great technological schools too as well and trade schools. And so I'm wondering whether or not your book also speaks to the fact that we actually have taken our eye off the ball and actually ill-served our people to the point where now the government practically has to import people to do jobs that actually should be done by American kids raised in an American school system that is reflecting what you'd prefer.
Well, a bit of that, but also I was really struck by Fortune magazine, not Forbes, but Fortune asked a bunch of Silicon Valley CEOs, including the CEO of Intuit and Genentech, the big biotech company, what they value most in their employees. And they all said things like curiosity, resilience, communication skills, leadership skills. And I said, well, that's kind of funny, I said to myself as I read this, because you don't screen for that. You're lopsidedly screening for test scores and where the applicants went to school. In other words,
right.
If they went to an elite school, that's better. And if they went to a state school, that might be okay, and on down the list. And what happens is a lot of these early achievers, at least the early achievers in the school system, whether it's STEM or otherwise, they burn out because they become master rote learners. And so the people of later blooming skills really start to assert themselves at age in their middle 20s and beyond. So I'm not, I think this obsession with STEM probably goes overboard a little bit. Artificial intelligence and the way software is progressing, the very kind of STEM jobs, anything that's rules-based is going to be wiped out by AI, and that includes a lot of software programming. So I think what I advocate is really going back to a kind of classic liberal arts education for most people, and that's going to include math and science, and it's going to include debate and rhetoric, not this kind of namby-pamby stuff that constitutes liberal arts in too many schools today, but a good old-fashioned, Jesuitical classic education.
Interesting. That's fascinating. What a great answer, and what an illuminating answer that is. And maybe I might add to that, if you don't mind, maybe just a little bit of service as a dishwasher somewhere. I remember because back in
No, I agree. Look, another thing that I'm kind of libertarian. I'm sort of a libertarian kind of conservative, so I would have been against mandatory military service. But when I look at Israel, Singapore, Switzerland, Sweden, the countries that have it, that are similarly affluent to the United States, they produce some pretty good young adults with better work habits, with less inclination to get addicted to drugs and alcohol, all that kind of stuff. We ought to talk about this as a nation, and for people who are adamantly opposed to military service, create some equivalent civilian service. But I think your point about the dishwasher, I think I hate to force humility on some people, but I think a mixing of the classes in mandatory military service would do the U.S. a lot of good right now.
Interesting. Yeah, because I just meant just working as a youngster. It's weird because nowadays, like I started working when I was 13, and I guess I don't think you can work as a 13-year-old these days, but I remember working as a busboy, and I sold newspapers, and then my dishwashing days at a restaurant here. But I was able to work a lot when I was a kid because, back in those days, I didn't have gas for my car, or I couldn't get a McDonald's hamburger if I didn't have money in my pocket, because I wouldn't dare ask my parents for money. So you talk about learning a little bit of humility. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that we're a different world now where we all and I don't blame parents. I'm a parent like that. Like I don't want my kids to struggle. You know what I mean? But maybe sometimes that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, well, kids aren't taking summer jobs. High school kids aren't taking summer jobs. What they're doing is taking SAT prep classes, or they're going to some coding camp, or if they're an athlete, they're going to some camp.
Yeah.
And that's all a reflection of this obsession on early achievement that is taking us away from building really good, responsible adults. I mean, high schools should judge themselves by not how many kids they send to elite schools in any given year, but how well these graduates are doing 20 and 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, and also, I know you got to go, but you're at 7:20. But let me tell you, a story yesterday that I was kind of obsessing over was an NBC report on homeless and hungry college students. So they did a whole story about these kids in Irvine, California, who spent a lot of their day waiting in line at a food pantry. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're in college. When I was in college, I worked also. So they never asked these kids whether they actually had a job or not, which I'm assuming they didn't work. And I'm thinking, boy, the time you're spending waiting in line for a food pantry, you could work and maybe buy some food. That'd be amazing. But that story, you might want to take a look at it.
They could have gone, They could have gone to the local community college and saved a whole heck of a lot of money, so that their 4-year education would really only cost 2 years. I mean, there's so many ways that people can better spend their dollars.
Yeah. Well, Rich Karlgaard, thank you so much. Congratulations on your success, and thank you for sharing some of your, well, I don't want to call them failures, but some of your work that you put in as a late bloomer before you bloomed. And I can't wait to see some of the stories of what a goofball you were, because I'm sure there's so many people out there who will have a lot of symmetry with that experience. So thanks for sharing it with us. I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, Jamie, when you're 25 years old and you're a security guard, and one day it occurs to you that your professional colleague in the yard next door is a Rottweiler, then you know you're not blooming. But thank you so much for having me, and go Blues. I want since the Blues beat my Sharks, I want the Blues to go all the way now.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's generous of you. And again, thanks for sharing your time with us as well, Rich Karlgaard, and congrats on your success, and thanks for the book. Take care, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fascinating, man, isn't it? Phil, did you like that? I did. Maxie, did you like that interview? Thank you for nailing that down, buddy.
Oh, that guy was fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like I guess that's why he came on to talk about the book. I feel like I could talk to him for 3 hours, and maybe now he'd saying, "Well, no, don't talk to me for 3 hours. Go and pick up the book and read it." That's probably there's probably that's the talk for 3 hours is reading his book. But boy, he makes some really fascinating and off the grid ways of thinking that I didn't even consider, especially with the STEM stuff, which I found to be fascinating. That he kind of said, I don't know, we're not really when he interviewed those CEOs, they all talked about what they valued, and yet he pointed out that they don't hire based on what they value, which is amazing to me. Your phone calls are welcome. I'll take a break here. Call.tame.com. Real estate listener line is 844-855-1380. It's Common Sense Radio.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
We're now up to 3 accidents at this hour. We still have a crash blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. And 70 eastbound backed up from Bermuda Road to Jennings Station, where a right lane still blocked, and now 6440 westbound. You have a right lane blocked before Tower Grove Avenue. We can see that one from the jam cam at Tower Grove. 270 northbound, still a pretty big delay there from 55 to Manchester, and westbound Old Halls Ferry to West Florissant slows as well. Traffic is sponsored by Indeed.com. Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring, where business owners and HR professionals can post job openings with screener questions. Then sort, review, and communicate with candidates from an online dashboard. Learn more at Indeed.com/hire. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Hey, talk about late bloomers. Mike Lindell is definitely a late bloomer. The MyPillow guy, if you look back in his history, he had quite a run there before he became the MyPillow guy. So there's another testament to someone who finally ultimately got it and now is on his way. And what a great guy he is. What an entrepreneur, because he's got these pillows that are just the best pillows you're going to find, the most comfortable pillows you're going to find anywhere in the land. And he's giving you 2 for 1 now when you drop my name, Jamie, mypillow.com/Jamie. And you're going to really enjoy the MyPillow, the comfort and the coolness. I talk about coolness because people flip their pillows to find the cool side. No worries. It's always cool on each side, no matter what the temperature is outside or in. It's always the cool pillow, thanks to the technology of the MyPillow. Also, you're going to get 30% off of the Giza Dream Sheets. These are sheets that are beautiful and comfy and high thread count, cool sheets, and brought to you at a 30% discount when you drop my name, Jamie. mypillow.com/Jamie.
The following statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. Amberen trials tested mild to moderate symptoms. Testimonial is based on 90 days of use. Results may vary. IRI US MULO, 52 weeks by UPC.
Hi, I'm Mary Lou Retton, and I want to talk to you about something I haven't liked to talk about until now, my menopause. All my life, I've had energy to win gold in '84. But when menopause hit me, with the hot flashes and night sweats, I began to feel sluggish every day. That all changed when I discovered Amberen.
Amberen safely relieves 12 menopause symptoms by helping to restore your hormonal balance. Amberen is 100% drug-free, estrogen-free, and clinically tested. Amberen is America's #1 menopause relief supplement.
Thanks to Amberen, my fear of hot flashes is gone. My sheets aren't soaked every night, and my energy is back. Give Amberen a try and see what it can do for you. It works. It really works.
Hurry to your Walmart, Walgreens, Target, and other fine retailers nationwide and get Amberen today.
Business owners, self-employed, part-time employees, are you struggling to pay your bills because you no longer can afford your health insurance? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. With Obamacare premiums skyrocketing, higher deductibles, and shrinking networks, let me introduce you to Dryden Camus Insurance Agency as the answer, the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency has non-Obamacare ACA-compliant plans that do not fund abortion. There's no enrollment period, and you don't have to pay for expensive extras like pediatric dentistry or maternity care. Contact Joyce at at Dryden Camus Insurance Agency and start saving up to 60%. Call 877-695-0245. That's 877-695-0245. Or just go to kddi-ins.com. Cut through the confusion and save money with Dryden Camus Insurance Agency, serving Missouri and Illinois. This is the answer. This is the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency. Just go to kddi-ins.com.
Joe Walsh, tonight at 8. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Billy was so excited last night when I came home to see her and the kids. She goes, "Look, Daddy, I got a letter from Donald Trump." Her class wrote the president, and he sent a letter back, and she was so excited about it. Love that. Love the fact that her school, where they wrote the president, it's cool, too. You never know these days, you know. Well, I don't know. There might be some kids who don't want to write the president, blah, blah, blah. So no, they wrote the president and got a letter back, which is awesome. Then I said, and of course, probably inadvertently made the connection, but I shouldn't have. But I wrote President Nixon myself when I was a kid. And I got a letter back. I got a whole packet of stuff from the president. I was a prolific writer as a young person. I wrote every soccer team on the planet to send me stickers and stuff. I used to write everybody letters. And sometimes you get letters back. I got a letter back from President Nixon. I don't know where it is now, somewhere. Good morning, Jim. Jim is online, too. Jim, good morning this morning. How you doing, man?
Yeah, Jamie, I just wanted to give 2 thumbs up on that interview. And that book that this guy wrote is sorely overdue. And, I've got 6 kids. I've homeschooled them in their early years and 5 boys. And, the boys really need other things. They need handwork. They need to do things that they can accomplish. And sitting in school is not always good for little boys. And we were very active with our kids. But I wanted to say that this idea about directing them into the liberal arts, and that's what I tried to do with my kids. And see, I can have discussions with them now as adults. And there's so many people in their 20s, you just can't talk to them because they don't know anything. They don't know history. They just don't know politics and philosophy. And so we do need to concentrate, I believe, a lot more on the liberal arts and debate and rhetoric and stuff like that.
Yeah, because otherwise you're relinquishing the framing of history to people you don't know. and I remember when do you remember the days when homeschoolers they acted like these people were from Mars? Remember that? And let me tell you something. My experience, some of the best kids I know were homeschooled. I'm not denigrating people who go to school, obviously, but I've met a lot of kids who were homeschooled because it's kind of like in our wheelhouse as conservatives anyway, and they are great kids. They are fantastic kids. And Maxie, we do have a copy of the book, huh? Should have given it to Jim. What I'll do is I'll give it to the 5th caller. A copy of Late Bloomers, The Power of Patience in a World Obsessed with Early Achievement by Forbes publisher and self-proclaimed late bloomer Rich Karlgaard. So to the 5th caller will go this wonderful book. Thanks for the heads up there, Maxie. Call Tammy.com real estate listener lines 844-855-1380. And to the 5th caller will go the book. Glad you guys enjoyed that interview, and we appreciate you. Coming up, Nancy Pelosi's antics yesterday, this witch's antics yesterday, were a direct result of a person trained to do what she knows she will get away with. And she did it, and she did get away with it. We'll follow up on that on the other side of this break.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. 3 people killed and widespread destruction, the result of a wave of tornadoes that ripped across parts of Missouri and Oklahoma into the wee hours of the morning. The 3 fatalities occurred north of Joplin, Missouri. Today, the severe weather threat has shifted east, with a variety of warnings and watches posted across a wide area. After 17 years in a federal prison, the man known as the American Taliban is scheduled for release later today. John Walker Lynn was captured on a battlefield in Afghanistan in 2001. The Pentagon will be asking the White House for permission to send up to 10,000 more U.S. troops to the Middle East to counter Iranian aggression, a formal request expected to come later today. Dow futures are down 251 points. S&P futures off 25. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We're still looking at 3 accidents right now. A crash still blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. And 6440 westbound, we have a crash in the acceleration lane before Tower Grove. You can see that one from the jam cam at Tower Grove. 70 eastbound, right lane still blocked at Jennings Station with a crash, and that backup starts at Florissant. 270 northbound heavy, Tesson Ferry to Manchester, westbound Old Halls Ferry to West Florissant, 55 southbound Kingbridge split to the 5544 underpass, and the intersection of Gravois and Hampton still closed for utility work. Traffic is sponsored by eBay. You know when you're shopping and you find the right thing, then you see the price and you're like, wait, it's how much? But did you check eBay? So you do check eBay. And eBay has that thing you want for the price you want. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Joe Walsh just wants a level playing field.
There are a lot of boys in our high schools identifying as girls and being allowed to compete with the girls in damn near any female sport. And that is just fundamentally wrong. Because if we don't push back against this gender madness now, it will overtake us.
The Joe Walsh radio program. Weeknights at 8 on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Breaking news. Stimulating talk.
Tune in to Moxie Minutes with Gia, Saturday mornings at 10 to learn about all things parenting. Moxie Minutes with Gia is the closest you'll get to that manual that doesn't come with your kids. Educators, physicians, therapists, and ministers will join Gia to discuss sleep habits, overscheduling, mental health, tech, and so much more. Submit your questions on Facebook at the Learn with Moxie Facebook page and tune in to Moxie Minutes with Gia every Saturday morning at 10. Brought to you by Allstate Insurance, the Doug Felsch Agency.
Greetings, St. Louis. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. As a longtime supporter and sponsor of the Allman in the Morning Show, my goal as his trusted advisor is to make sure that you are in good hands. My team of agents and I know how to make sure that you get the best value for the money you spend on your insurance. Our quotes are free, so let us show you what we can do to save you money or give you the peace of mind that you deserve. Folks, there is safety in numbers. I urge you to put the power of Allstate, America's largest and strongest insurance company, to work for you. Call 855-QUOTE-ME.
Listen to Allman in the Morning with Alexa. Wake up and say, Alexa, play The Answer St. Louis. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Love listening to stories of unexpected success. There's a great one from Kenny Rogers. Watch this.
To say the least. But, you know, Lionel, first of all, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy for you. You know, you deserve what you're getting here. Lionel and I met 32 years ago right here in Las Vegas. But, you know, I'm so excited about this because now for those of you who are young, aspiring songwriters who want to learn how to pitch a song, Lionel is your guy. I called him from the Riviera here, and I said, Lionel, I'd love for you to come over and write a song for me. And he said, I don't think I have time. I said, well, it's going to be a part of a greatest hits album. It'll sell, I think, a minimum of 4 or 5 million records. He says, it's 7 o'clock tomorrow night, okay? So he came in at 7 o'clock, and we had this little upright rinky-dink piano in the dressing room, and he starts to play, and then he says, before I do this, I have to tell you, I pitched this to the Commodores, and they turned it down, which I thought was an interesting approach to selling a song.
Kenny
So he
Rogers
sits
is the
down,
best, by the way.
And he starts playing, and he goes, lady, wait. And the rest of it, la da 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 da. All he had was the one word. I said, how could they have turned that word down, I asked you. So we go in the studio. 6 months later, we're recording. I finished the first verse of the song, and I'm sitting looking at the lyric sheets, and there's not a second verse. And I said, wait a minute, where's Lionel? I swear to God, he's in the toilet writing the second verse.
Love stories like this.
They said he's at his best under pressure. So I am so excited about being here, you know, and you're not just a friend of mine, but the song you wrote was truly a changing point in my career. It's one of the most identifiable songs I've ever done. I'd love to have you come up and sing it with me, if you will. Come on, come on.
Lionel Richie is amazing, too. So are the Commodores.
Late on your knight in shining, and I love you.
Listen to that voice, man.
You have made me what I am. I am you.
This is awesome. You should see this video.
There's so many ways I want to say I love you. You have come into my life and made me whole.
You forget what a really great song this is, you know? It could because they play it so much, but you forget it's such a beautifully written song. You forget it's underrated, I think. These guys.
We belong together. Won't you believe in my song?
Yeah, in this racially divided nation, right? What a horrible world we live in, huh? All right, that's enough of that. I tell you, you just look at that video. I love hearing stories about how things were put together, and Lady came kind of later even in Kenny Rogers' career, and look at that, man. Look at that video. You will be invigorated. You will have a fantastic day. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jim Talent. Jim Talent. It's my new intro music for you. You like that?
That's great.
Here comes
this
Jim.
confirms what I've always suspected about you. That you're a romantic at heart.
Well, I would say I am. That is for sure. But I do love these stories. I love hearing. I just interviewed this guy, Rich Karlgaard, who is the publisher of Forbes magazine and wrote a book called Late Bloomers, The Power of Patience in a World Obsessed with Early Achievement. And I was reminded actually of this song and Kenny Rogers' story about the making of this song. There are lots of things that happen by chance, but there are lots of chances that happen because you let them. And that's a really good thing. And boy, that song is great. I've never heard the song that way before. You know, it'll come on like an AM radio or whatever, and you just punch out or you do something else. You're like, oh, there's that song again. But I never heard it in that fashion. Sometimes you hear a song in a different kind of venue, and it changes everything about the song.
Yes, one of the things your listeners who are musically inclined are going to laugh that I think what I'm going to say is profound, because of course it isn't. But I'm not musically inclined, and it's always interests me to hear how the arrangement of these songs, how small things can make a huge difference in how the song goes over. Her Lion Eyes, is one of my favorites from that era, and I saw on the internet a video where a guy kind of took it apart and explained that small changes in the instrumentation of the song made an enormous difference in terms of how effective it was. That would be a good like 15-minute segment for you, Jamie, to get somebody who knows this stuff and take apart some piece of popular music like that.
Yeah, well, bone up, because you and I are going to sing at the end of the segment a duet. Lady, we're going to sing that together, so just be ready.
Yeah, I only vaguely remember it, although I was kind of a Rogers fan. And what's interesting, his career went through several different stages, didn't it? I mean, he started off with like Ruby and things like that, kind of very late 60s, and then he became very country.
Yeah.
And identified with country. An interesting guy.
No doubt about it. And again, he's another guy, and I hate to say underrated, because heaven knows he's made a ton of money and he's done everything else, but some people kind of write him off. They almost did that with Glenn Campbell. They didn't realize until he died what an amazing talent Glenn Campbell was, and what an incredible songwriter and musician he was. And so people kind of forgot about that, because it was, there's Glenn Campbell again, and a Glenn Campbell show, and blah, blah, blah. And they don't realize really how talented some people are. All right, so Jimmy, here's the deal. This Iran thing, I was trying to explain to people yesterday that the media just tries to shoehorn so much into their own version of reality. It's almost as if they, first of all, when the Iran thing broke, they completely, automatically, some of them took Iran's side, which was kind of odd. And then secondly, they started to egg everybody onto this thought that we were going to go to war. And then when it didn't happen, and the gamesmanship on the part of the president did in fact prevail, they looked disappointed that we weren't in a war. I mean, right. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, they see everything through the lens of short-term, what they identify as short-term domestic political incentives. And so you say it's their version of reality. It's increasingly alienated from any version of reality. Okay, even a domestic political lens, right? In other words, it's not even good politics. What's happened with Iran, and is happening with Iran, is the working out of a real policy, and which the Trump administration deserves enormous credit for. I don't know how much you want to go into this, but basically, when he came into office, he recognized that Iran is a primary and possibly the biggest threat to our interests, both in terms of not being attacked at home, but also our interests in the region. And so Trump began a policy of using the tool of economic power to pressure the regime relentlessly. And it's worked. I mean, they're in real trouble. The currency is, going through the floor. The economy, the economy's lost. I don't know what everybody disagrees, but I mean, it's in the toilet, and they don't have enough money. And it's particularly since they're kleptocrats, so they steal a big part of what the country produces. And they thought, the Iranians thought that they could relieve the pressure diplomatically, and they were blocked there. And so now they're trying to relieve the pressure by using aggression. And Trump and Pompeo and the others responded by saying that's not going to work either, because they're applying deterrence. They're saying if you aggress against American forces, we will impose costs and consequences, and you will lose that round too. And so you notice the Iranians are now saying, oh, well, wait, we don't want a war. And I think if they do anything, it will be through proxy forces, and they'll deny any responsibility for it, which is already a kind of win for us. Okay, so this is the working of a real strategy.
Yeah.
And I think we're just so unused to it in foreign policy that people don't see it. I mean, this is a successful strategy in the Middle East.
Yeah, well,
it's,
well, you say that because
I'm very supportive of it. I wrote a column the other day saying he's right in what he's been doing. And you can like Trump or not like him, but he's right. And he's pulled it off in a couple of years, which is really pretty good considering, where we were when he took office in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, and considering what people said that Donald Trump was going to do to the world, I mean, it's pretty amazing, and it's also proof that he surrounded himself with some pretty good people. And I know that they always, everybody kind of maligned Bolton as a warmonger, and he's whispering in the president's ear and doing all this kind of stuff, and that's just their fantasy. They had nothing to back that up with. And so it's interesting you asked me whether or not I wanted to go into that or not, and of course I did. I just got through spending 5 minutes analyzing Lady by Kenny Rogers and Lionel Richie singing together. So of course I want to go into whatever you're talking about with that rant. So I'll take on.
Well, on a presidential level, this is another thing that we need to focus on. The press doesn't even try to explain this. So on the presidential level is a strategic level. Okay, so on one sense, it's basically just common sense. It's making the biggest choices and then assembling a team of people who will carry it out in a tactically intelligent way. Okay, so Trump made a basic choice in the Middle East, which is we're going to try and protect our interests by working through a series of partners whose interests align with ours. Okay, so which is kind of common sense, isn't it? So it's Egypt, it's Jordan, it's Israel, it's Bahrain, it's Kuwait, and for some purposes, it's Saudi Arabia. And Iran is a threat to all of them, which is another reason why he's doing what he's doing with Iran. And there's been a consistency of policy, right? And he withdraws from the stupid nuclear agreement. That was the right. He decides the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's a terrorist organization. They are. He imposes these enormous sanctions. He moves the embassy to Jerusalem, which shows that he's willing to stand up for his friend. He doesn't get involved more than he absolutely has to in Syria because that is not his priority, right? So he's established priorities and he's enforcing them, and that's basically what the president's supposed to do. I mean, he's not getting involved in the exact number of sailors on an aircraft carrier, right? That's what the chief of naval operations is. So I've admired his Middle Eastern policy. Now, it's like everything else in the Middle East. It contains risks. I mean, there is no perfect policy there, but this is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And I think apart from the domestic politics of it, I think he'd have more bipartisan support. I mean, there's no question in my mind he would. And he may yet. Okay. This isn't over yet.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, too, that for all the president has replaced and there has been a level of a revolving door, so to speak, if you want to call it that. I don't think that's a negative thing. I think it's an example of a president who, instead of actually having his reputation of being, he doesn't listen to anybody and he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. It's the exact opposite. The guy seems to be a obsessive listener and a person who actually...
Yeah, that's what they tell me, by the way, that at meetings and that sort of thing. And he learns and absorbs information by being briefed orally, which is actually, I'm kind of like that too. And his leadership style appears to be one where he likes to have differing voices and opinions. He moves people through and rotates them, or moves people in and out with somewhat greater frequency than some presidents do. This is a style. I mean, FDR was kind of the same. And you have to do, as in a leadership position, you do what works for you, and within pretty broad limits. So I don't, as I said, I kind of judge it by results too. I did another interview the other day, and I said, look, I get it. I mean, some people think he's crude, he's provocative.
Oh, yeah.
But what I'm interested in is what's the impact on my community, my family, things I care about. I view politics transactionally at the end of the day, because that's what I think it is. What matters to the things that are important in my life, and security is kind of important, and I think he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, no doubt. I imagine that ultimately the way things change out and the way things go, you never know when Jim Talent might pop into that administration post 2020 even. Who knows? But I'm sure that your expertise is much appreciated. And Pompeo is a story in itself. You know, you wonder how a congressman wound up, and nothing against congressmen obviously, but wound up actually being such an able diplomat. It's just in a highly charged atmosphere like this, it seems like Pompeo is delivering very well.
Well, you mentioned he changes people up. Well, Pompeo's been there from the beginning, and so has Coates, and and Pence obviously has been there from the beginning, and he plays a major role in this.
Yeah,
I mean, the major place where there's been changes is in the National Security Advisors. And he got rid of Flynn quickly, which was the right decision, although not for the reasons that, they went after Flynn. And then he had McMaster, and McMaster was good, I think, in setting up the structure. But I think the president wanted a different point of view, and so he brought in Bolton. I like John Bolton a lot. I've known him for years. John is a plain speaker, which is unusual for diplomats, but for that reason, he's unusually effective. Remember, they saw where Iran was trying to take this, and the reason they spoke so sharply and strongly was it was deterrence. They were saying, look, you are not going to like the consequences if you attack American forces. It's called deterrence. And the reason it worked is because we are more powerful than the Iranians militarily. Now, this is my gripe, that we had to move an aircraft carrier into the Gulf. When I went to the Congress, we had an aircraft carrier in the Gulf all the time. But we don't now because we don't have aircraft carriers. Okay? And it's destabilizing. So now Trump's trying to do something about that, too. I mean, he got rid of the defense sequester and put a lot more money in the defense budget. But you can't change that overnight. You can't flip a switch and produce an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Okay? So he's living with the consequences of decisions that were made reaching back 20 years and trying to do the best he can.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, always good to talk to you. Thanks for the illumination as always. And thanks for the fun, too. Jimmy?
We're gonna if you're going to do a song, you sing, and I'll wave my cell phone. I'll turn off the lights in the room and wave my cell phone. Okay? I'm not singing.
You download
You got to pay me scale to get me to sing, and I don't have a union card anyway. So.
I was just kidding, but you can download the Bic Lighter app on there and just kind of keep your lighter going on your phone, and I'll sing. But maybe that's for another time. All right, buddy?
Okay, man. Bye-bye.
All right, it's Jim Talent. It's Common Sense Radio. Your phone lines are open. Call Tammy.com. Real estate list lines 844-855-1380. And, oh, yeah, happy days are here again as Andrew Jackson, it turns out, is going to stay on the $20 bill. All that straight ahead.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Well, we can't just seem to get clear of these accidents out there. We still have a crash blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. Also a crash on 70 eastbound at Jennings Station Road. That one blocks a right lane. And your stop and go back from Florissant. We can see that one from the jam cam at Jennings Station. 6440 westbound, an accident in the acceleration lane before Tower Grove Avenue. And we do still have 270 northbound heavy Tesson Ferry to Manchester, westbound 367 to West Florissant. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Well, the hapless city of Baltimore is still under hijack by the ransomware guys 2 weeks after the ransomware guys came in. And, of course, the city of Baltimore apparently didn't think enough of its citizens and didn't think enough of its clients and didn't think enough of the public to actually try to protect itself. So, boom, they are invaded. And you as a company, you as the owner, you as the person who makes the decisions on IT levels need to make sure, and I'm sure you're thinking about it, need to make sure you're not susceptible to this, because I guarantee you the city of Baltimore will just simply take more money from people and survive. A private company that is bent over by a ransomware for guys, you can't. Sometimes you can't survive. Your clientele, they have all their information out there, and your business is ruined. So make sure you have my friends at ThrottleNet come and review some of the holes in your system. They're what I call the white hats, and so they act like the bad guys, but they're not. They will find all the things the bad guy will find, but then they'll repair them for you to keep the bad guys out. That's what it's all about. They also do system backups, and they have a 24/7 helpline available to you. So if you do have problems and you need help right away, they'll be with you either remotely or right at your doorstep. That's the promise of ThrottleNet.com, ThrottleNet.com.
KXFN, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Curtains, shades, blinds, shutters. What are the best for living rooms or bedrooms? Let me tell you about the quality customized service you will receive when you call Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael Proctor is an interior designer with exceptional expertise when it comes to window treatments for your home or business. Michael Proctor has served our St. Louis area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He is also a top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your first choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Call Michael Proctor today and schedule your in-home consultation with Michael's mobile design unit. He will come to you. Weekend and evening appointments are available. The one-on-one appointment with Michael Proctor will ensure the look is exactly what you're looking for in your home or business. Cut down on the risk of error and make your home great again. Proctor Drapery is the answer. Schedule your appointment today with Michael. Contact Michael at proctordrapery.com. It's Proctor spelled like doctor.
Arc Midnight with John B. Wells. We can't describe the show. You just need to listen. Sunday morning at midnight. Now, back to Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Great decision made by the Trump administration and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. They just announced, they said, that idea put together by Obozo's guy, Jack Lew, that guy? The guy who said they were going to, the desire to appease whoever by putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill and taking Andrew Jackson off of it. You know that idea? We're not going to do that. So thank God, no Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. It was apparently supposed to coincide with the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote or something. I don't know. But Andrew Jackson remains on the $20 bill. They say at least through 2028. Get the picture there? And by that time, people will have forgotten. Yeah, good. Keep Andrew Jackson on the 20. If you're going to take anybody off, take Alexander Hamilton off the 10. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people who are big fans of Alexander Hamilton. I get it. And I realize he was the first Treasury Secretary or whatever, so not picking on Alexander Hamilton, but he was a bad shot. And he was a liberal statist. I'm just telling you. But that doesn't mean you take him off. Hamilton fans, I don't want to be mean to you either. I'm a huge Andrew Jackson fan. Huge fan of his wife Rachel, as you all know too. But that was just one of these things to that was supposed to end racism, is putting Harriet Tubman on that racist Andrew Jackson $20 bill. It was a typical white liberal attempt to assuage and coddle blacks and try to prove that, see, we're not racist. We put Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill that'll end all racism. After that, we're gonna pay with Harriet Tubman bills for a crane to remove that Confederate statue that is causing racism in this country. So good. It's a reason to celebrate this morning is that Andrew Jackson stays put on the $20 bill. All right, coming up. Oh, yeah. I wonder if the Italian police subcontract. You should see this video of how the Italian police deal with violent punk Antifa protesters. We'll have that for you coming up. And also, the news media predictably takes Pelosi's side after yesterday's debacle. We'll talk about that, too.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Damage assessment is underway across tornado-ravaged areas of Missouri, raked by a series of twisters overnight. Correspondent David Lieb is in Jefferson City. He says the Missouri State Capitol was slammed late last night.
Work crews in Jefferson City right now are clearing down power lines, twisted metal, and other debris from the street using large front loaders, trucks, and bulldozers. Jefferson City police have no immediate reports of fatalities. However, they received multiple calls of injuries or people trapped in buildings.
Mike O'Connell with the Missouri Department of Public Safety. More on the situation in Jefferson City.
We know that we have 9 people hospitalized as a result of this tornado. We've had people who were trapped. Crews have gotten out, people like that. They're doing secondary searches, but we do not have any known deaths.
However, a tornado did leave 3 people dead in Golden City, north of Joplin. Oklahoma also saw its share of tornado damage. The Pentagon reportedly prepared to propose deploying a lot more U.S. troops to a global hotspot.
The Defense Department is set to reveal plans to the White House aimed at sending as many as 10,000 more American troops to the Middle East in an effort to better fend off potential Iranian threats. On Tuesday, defense leaders told congressional officials that the U.S. doesn't want to go to war with Iran and wants to de-escalate the situation. But many in Congress are skeptical of the Trump administration's approach, questioning whether it's responding to significant new threats or escalating a situation that could lead to war. Matt Small, Washington.
Wall Street headed for a lower open in about a half hour. Right now, Dow futures down 226 points. S&P futures are off 23. NASDAQ futures down 77 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Still a couple of accidents causing problems. 270 southbound, a crash is blocking the right side of the ramp to westbound 70, and 70 eastbound is jammed. From 170 now to Jennings Station, right lane blocked with an accident. We can see it from the jam cam at Jennings Station. 270 northbound heavy, Tesson Ferry to Manchester, westbound 367 to West Florissant, 55 southbound 64 to the 5544 underpass is backed up, and delays on 6440 eastbound between McKnight and Big Bend. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Hey, ladies and gents, Matthew Mitchell and the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. So we've had a week of storms and that kind of thing, and I've talked to you earlier, and when I even talk about Banner Construction, please consider them for all of the home repairs if you have the misfortune of having damage. But I'll tell you one thing, it makes it easier to hook up with Banner when you have the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency behind you, because this is low premiums and low deductibles. And there are a lot of people, a lot of insurance companies out there, when they see the storms that we've been seeing and the damage, they're going, oh, people aren't going to be able to make a claim. They make it so that people don't make claims because somebody turns around and says, oh, my deductible is like, I can't even make a claim. I might as well just do it myself. And that's just not the way insurance companies ought to be operating. And it's not the way Allstate Agency operates. They don't play those little tricks to make money and to squeeze every penny out of people. So they give you low premiums and low deductibles through Matthew Mitchell and the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. So Matthew, the Allstate Agency is first of all a great company. It is the largest publicly traded insurance company in the land, wide portfolio, and let's face it, they're wealthy. They already have a lot of clients because clients love their service. That's the reason. And so they can wiggle room you. They can have a little wiggle room here. So Matthew and his team, 70 years of the insurance business combined with them, are able to play a little game with you. They could do the low premiums and low deductibles, so you actually do make a claim. A lot of insurance companies don't want you to make claims. That's the whole game. But the Allstate agency says, we're here for you. That's why we do this. And so for your home, for your auto, low premiums, low deductibles on both of those, life insurance as well, and a special program for young drivers. You can't beat it with the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. 855-QUOTE-ME. That's 855-QUOTE-ME.
I'm Lou Dobbs, chip designer. ARM stops working with Huawei, and economic reports today. Those stories and more next.
Your cell phone's connected to your tablet's connected to your laptop's connected to your Wi-Fi. 1 weak link and thieves are in.
The digital world is so connected these days, it just takes 1 weak link for criminals to get in. Good thing LifeLock identity theft protection includes the power of Norton Security to watch out for threats in today's connected world.
Your desktop's connected to your smart TV. Your smart TV's connected to your smartwatch.
Threats to your identity, like your info for sale on the dark web, and online threats to your devices, like ransomware. No one can prevent all identity theft or cybercrime or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock with Norton detects a wide range of threats to your identity and devices. And if there's a problem, our agents will work to fix it.
Your smartwatch is connected to your video doorbell. Your video doorbell's connected to your smart lock.
Join now and get 10% off your first year. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code SMART for 10% off. LifeLock with Norton. More detection, more protection.
British chip maker ARM says it will stop doing business with Huawei, that in order to comply with U.S. sanctions against Huawei. The United States says Huawei is a security risk. It's restricted technology sales to Huawei and other Chinese telecom gear suppliers. Among the economic reports today out of Washington, weekly jobless claims and new home sales. A half-price version of Eli Lilly's popular Humalog insulin is now available. Eli Lilly promised in March to give diabetics a more affordable choice after fierce criticism of soaring insulin prices. Saudi Aramco will begin buying liquid natural gas from a San Diego company. Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil company will buy 5 million tons of liquid natural gas every year from Sempra Energy. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 o'clock and 10 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Don't forget, it's Father Tom Day. He's making his way through the crazy traffic that we're having right now from beautiful Cottleville on his way in. Or maybe he's making his way from the meat house or whatever the thing is. Smokehouse. Meat house. Well, it's a smokehouse. We'll get out there one of these days, have a beer and Wiener Schnitzel. So, I had the immense pleasure of watching this video yesterday on a website called LiveLeak. Be careful, because LiveLeak also shows Russians getting in head-on collisions and everything else, and robberies and all kinds of really terrible things that happen in Brazil for some reason. You'll notice that Brazilians like to kill each other a lot. On tape, it always seems to be. And Russians tape everything. They have, in Russia and other Baltic nations, because of the high prevalence of fraud and things like that, insurance fraud especially. I don't know what it is about the Russians, but they're, so in Europe, particularly in Russia, though, in that part of the country world, there are a lot of dash cams they put dash cams on their cars. It's almost like so commonplace on every car there's a dash cam, which oftentimes will result in tapes of horrible accidents. So I'm not laughing at the horrible accident, but I'm saying is that for these people are all taping each other dying in car accidents and things like that. So that's why there's a bunch of tape from Russia. You don't really find it too much in America because people don't have a whole lot of dash cams here. But in Russia, for instance, people almost all the time either trick you into rear-ending them, or there are people who will act like they've been hit by your car. It happens all the time over there. I don't know why. But anyway, as you all know, I was over in Italy last summer thanks to my lovely in-laws, Kathy and Don Fellon, who celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary by taking us all to Italy. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, yes, happy anniversary to you too. Thank you so much for that. It's a beautiful experience, and Italy is gorgeous. And I came back telling you how amazing the Italian people are for the most part. And how, first of all, they have roundabouts in their traffic system. It's all roundabouts everywhere. Rome and beyond, they have roundabouts. And here, for instance, like in St. Louis, where there's a stoplight pretty much every 15 feet around here, you would have none of that in Italy. I think I saw maybe 2 stoplights in all in Italy. Everywhere. Here, it's unbelievable how many stoplights, and it's just bad engineering, bad traffic engineering, and everything else. But anyway, the roundabouts are awesome. They do require you to be pretty heads up, though. You, like a lot of these people, as you see in traffic, who don't drive with a purpose. Like they're on an on-ramp on the highway, and like, why are you going 25 miles an hour on an on-ramp to a highway? I mean, and oftentimes it's not even beyond the realm of comprehension that people are braking on their way onto a highway. It's like, what are you doing? I also notice that people don't know how to merge in traffic situations. You know, the people who you're going to turn, and there's an area there where you can drive and merge in with traffic, but they stop at the yield sign. Do you notice that, Phil? They stop at the yield sign and wait for traffic. It's like, no, there's a purposely expanded part of the road there because you're supposed to kind of go onto the road and then merge in with traffic. You're not supposed to stop at a yield sign. I mean, unless, of course, the actual lane has been so badly engineered that there is no room for you to yield. But you're supposed to go in the curve and go onto the road and keep driving until you can merge on with the traffic at that point. There's always a space for you. But instead, people stop at the yield sign and look horrified at the oncoming traffic, usually gripping the steering wheel like they're holding a hand grenade. Like people, I've seen people who like. Tell me, have you ever driven before in your lifetime? I mean, and so anyway, so in Italy though, you have to drive with a purpose, or you get basically run over. You have to drive with a purpose. And the roundabout system, you got to keep going, or you're going to be eaten alive. And so people learn how to do that. They learn how to cooperate that way and everything else. There's no jogging on roads in Italy, by the way, because I was one of the people who tried that. And you don't jog, you don't run on a road. You don't even run on the side of the road because really there actually is no sidewalk. Well, there is to a certain degree, but in cities and things like that. But sometimes there is no. So you're not running along the road. And I remember one time that we were driving, and it was. We had there's the family of bikers bicycling in the road. And of course they're from Holland or something, you know. Guy, his wife, and 2 kids. They're driving with their dumb little helmets on and right through Italy. And these people are all like, get out of the road, for crying out loud. You don't bike on the roads here in Italy. Yeah, you wouldn't get any of that nonsense you see on Clayton Road with these people in their spandex outfits stopping traffic while you're trying to drive. You don't get any of that over there. The roads are for driving, and you either drive on the roads or you don't. So anyway, they don't take any crap over there in Italy. It's why, with a certain degree, they don't have the immigration problems that their neighbors do. They don't have the immigration problems that Germany does or that France does. They have a couple of people who will go in through Sicily. They've had some problems in southern Italy. But for the most part, they don't put up with people invading their countries and forcing them not to wear swimming suits at pools. They don't. The Italians will have none of that. And they are very nationalistic. They're a little more secularized than they were in the past, but nonetheless, they're very nationalistic, very proud of their country, and they stand up for their country. They don't take any crap from people. And their current leader is a conservative, or at least as conservative as a European will get. And they are very covetous of all of their prized possessions, their churches, their monuments, their fountains, and their history and everything else. Mussolini almost did that but he wasn't allowed to. He wound up hanging upside down from a lamppost. But that's again, Mussolini, although they did appreciate what he did in terms of doing some of the roadways and that kind of thing and infrastructure, Mussolini was a coward and a pansy and Hitler's butt boy, and that's when the Italians turned on him then. So they're good, they're patient, they're strong, but they don't even put up with too much. They don't like cowardice and babies in Italy. So their police force is similarly inclined, which the Polizia. And I'm watching this very, very pleasurable, immensely pleasurable video. And the title of the video is Antifa Scumbags Have Their Faces Polished. Here's how it went. Here, you turn on my thing here. So these guys are, you can give me a little turn down on the volume there. But so these guys are trying to blast through a police fence that was put up in their protest. This is a bunch of scum. So not every Italian is perfect, let's put it that way. So they have their sticks and their little banners and all that kind of stuff, and their Antifa banners and all that kind of stuff. And the police will have none of that. So they start with their batons just beating on these people for them to get back, because it's the only way to get them back. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, the U.S. could use a little bit of this. I wonder if they subcontract. I wonder if we could rent the Italian police the next time there's a verdict that doesn't quite go the way of the left wing. These people are like begging for mercy at this point. They're like, okay, we'll get back. Like, no, you're going to get back further. Okay, we'll stop. No, you're going to go home. That's what you're going to do. And then the Antifa punks are separated. Then they start throwing chairs and all kinds of stuff. Then the police are like, okay, we're going to come. This time we're going to go further at you then. So at one time they were back. Then they started throwing restaurant furniture. And by the way, imagine the Italian restaurant that's having its furniture thrown by a bunch of left-wing punks. Imagine how happy those people are to see the police out there polishing their faces. Look what happened down in St. Louis with the Stockley verdict. And unfortunately, the police here were so handcuffed. And when I say subcontracting the Italian police, that is not a criticism of our current police force. Our current police force, now they're at a standoff, and the police like, you want to come? You want more of this? Come forward, and they're not, because they're a bunch of cowardly punks with their masks over their faces and everything else, and they just keep on, and the police just keep on moving forward and beating them with their batons. You could never get away with this in the U.S. I know some people say, well, I'm glad because we don't want to have police brutality. No, we're kind of sick of left-wing brutality. We could use the Italian police force. Maybe the Trump administration and the Trump campaign can hire the Italian police force to guard President Trump's awesome rallies. Maybe that would have prevented people with MAGA hats getting beaten by left-wingers. Maybe the abortion, the pro-life people can rent these people out so that when they protest, they won't get attacked by people who want to tear their signs up. Portland could use these guys, I'll tell you that, this police force. But unfortunately, though, in the United States, the police are handcuffed by all the left-wingers and everybody else who just would rather have a dead police officer than law and order sometimes. Look at this guy whining about the police. Shut up and go home. You're the one that came forward to the police. This is what you get, throwing somebody's restaurant furniture at the police now. Anyway, I put it up on the Radio Free Allman Facebook page. You can check it out yourself, but it is a very pleasurable experience watching that videotape.
When I saw it, I saw the title. I thought, oh, that's funny. Jamie titled it that, polished her faces. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's the actual title of the article.
That's
awesome.
the lively people, yeah. Yeah, no, the title is Antifa Scumbags Have Their Faces Polished. No. But yeah, but it's a very pleasurable experience. You'll watch over and over again. Oh, Lord. Your phone calls are welcome. The call Tammy.com real estate listener lines 844-855-1380. Long live Italy.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
We're still looking at some of the same headaches out there. We still have the intersection of Gravois and Hampton closed for utility work. And we have an accident still blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 7070. Eastbound jammed up 170 to Jennings Station. Right lane is still blocked there with a crash. We've got delays on 270 northbound Tesson Perry to Manchester, really heavy there. And 6440 eastbound McKnight to Big Bend, 70 eastbound Blanchette Bridge to St. Charles Rock Road. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
You love that smell. That new truck smell. All cleaned up and ready to go.
Did you get your vent visor?
You know, the rain guard that goes over your window? Stop by Custom Car and Truck in O'Fallon, Illinois for free installation and lifetime warranty on vent visors.
How about your bug shield? You don't want to mess up the hood of your new truck with dead bugs. Keep them off the hood with free installation and lifetime warranty bug shield.
See John and the crew off Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois,
or online at customcarandtruck.com.
Hi, Doug Felsch here with the Felsch Agency with Allstate Insurance. I've been doing business in St. Louis for over 25 years, serving all of Missouri and Illinois. We've been able to save customers on an average between $400 and $800 a year on their auto and home insurance. We can help you with your home, auto, and all your financial and retirement needs. For a free, no-obligation insurance quote, you can text the word MOXIE to 314-664-1082, and one of our representatives will contact you within the next 24 hours. Text MOXIE, M-O-X-I-E, at 314-664-1082. Or please visit one of our 2 locations in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. You can also click on our website at allstate.com/dfelsch, D-F-O-E-L-S-C-H. So please give us a try today. I know we can save you money. You're always in good hands.
This is Scott Ferguson, the Director of Outreach at St. Matthew United Methodist Church in Belleville, Illinois. If you're presently looking for a church home, we would love for you to join the church family at St. Matthew. We have 3 Sunday morning services, the 8 a.m. traditional service, 9:17 is our contemporary service, and the 10:45 a blended service with a full choir and orchestra. You can find additional information at our website, stmatthewumc.org. We'd love to see you on Sunday morning.
Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Come fly with me, we'll fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come on, fly with me, we'll fly away.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, happy Tuesday. Thursday, I mean. That's a good little Italian there. Frank Sinatra. You know, I know I've said this before, I'll say it again, but it's why I prefer Frank Sinatra to Michael Bublé, because Michael Bublé says, come flaw with me, and that's not what it is. It's fly. Right? Frank Sinatra never let a word drop. Like he was the king of enunciation. He never let a word drop. That was not seen to him. And that's what drives me nuts about listening to Bublé do Frank Sinatra songs. It drives me crazy. Because he lets words fade. Don't do that. And it's fly, not flaw. Anyway, I don't want to be too, because I know a lot of you are like, no, Michael Bublé's great. I know. You like him, and you like that other guy who's on Oprah all the time. What's his name? These guys. It's like, okay, I get it, but sorry, I'm not on that train. All right, so hey, listen, listen to me. You know, how dare I too? It's so heretical going after Michael Bublé. But okay, Michael Bublé's great, but just don't sing Sinatra songs. Or if you're going to sing them the right way. That's what I'm saying. Sing like a man. So we have the networks who decided they were going to devote 2 hours to bashing these extreme restrictive pro-life bills. 2 hours of airtime. They didn't cover at all that New York bill that basically celebrated infanticide. So we're going to talk more about that. We're also Joe Concha was on Tucker Carlson yesterday and really made a great point. It's a point that I've made before as well, but he kind of drives it home because it gets at the reason why Nancy Pelosi pulled that haggarific stunt yesterday with President Trump. And the only reason she did it is because she knew that she could. She knew that the media would automatically take her side and make Trump out to be the jerk. Even though what Nancy Pelosi did yesterday was a quintessential jerk move. And she and Schumer, again, tried to do their little dog and pony show. And, of course, they did it because the media buys into it. The media does not hold them to account. And yesterday, all day long, it was all the president's fault. The president was being petulant. Never mind that Nancy Pelosi accused him of committing crimes 15 minutes before he's supposed to meet him in the Oval Office about infrastructure. How do you think that's going to turn out? Anyway, we'll have that for you on the other side of this break and how the media adopts the lingo of President Trump's enemies.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Damage assessment is underway across tornado-ravaged parts of Missouri, raked by a series of twisters overnight. The capital, Jefferson City, was hard hit. A lot of damage and some injuries there, but no fatalities. However, 3 people were killed by a twister in Golden City, north of Joplin. Oklahoma also saw its share of tornado damage. The Pentagon reportedly set to propose deploying a lot more American troops to the Middle East as a counterweight to Iranian influence in the region. John Walker Lynn to be released from a federal prison in Indiana today. He was known as the American Taliban after being captured on a battlefield in Afghanistan in late 2001. Stocks opening sharply lower this morning on Wall Street. The Dow down 255 points. The S&P is off 26. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Well, we just can't get things cleared up. A couple of accidents have been plaguing us for a while now. A crash is still blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. And 70 eastbound is backed up all the way from 170 to Jennings Station. Right lane still blocked there with an accident. We could see it from the jam cam at Jennings Station. The intersection of Gravois and Hampton remains closed for utility work. We've got a little bit of a delay left on 270 northbound Big Bend to Manchester and 6440 eastbound McKnight to Big Bend slows westbound Hampton to Laclede Station. Traffic is sponsored by eBay. You know when you're shopping and find the right thing, then you see the price and you're like, wait, it's how much? But did you check eBay? So you do check eBay, and eBay has that thing you want for the price you want. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Hey, I'm Billy Kinder, host of Big Billy Kinder Outdoors. If you enjoy hunting, fishing, or just God's great creation, then you'll want to join me in the Camp House. We travel all over these great United States, bringing hunting and fishing opportunities your way, plus special guests and knowledgeable pros. Big Billy Kinder Outdoors, Saturday mornings at 5 on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Brought to you by Denny Dennis Sporting Goods and Fenton, specializing in fitted guns for protection or the outdoors enthusiast. Like them on Facebook to get in on their weekly specials.
Results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services. If you owe the IRS back taxes, payroll taxes, or have not filed your returns, the IRS will get you. They can take your property, take you to court, even put you in jail. One call to Wall & Associates, and your tax problems are solved. Wall has saved clients over $150 million in the last 5 years. Our average client settles for about 10% of what is owed. With one call to Wall, you'll never need to talk to the IRS again. We offer free face-to-face consultations in your local area. Remember, Wall has a proven track record with a total client savings over $150 million. Call now for your free face-to-face consultation. 800-660-2294. That's 800-660-2294. 800-660-2294.
I'm Kirk McCullen with RE/MAX Results. And yeah, the market is crazy busy and we are in the peak selling month of the year. Rates are low and values are high. Here at RE/MAX Results, we're even seeing $10,000 to $20,000 over list price. You could be sitting on a gold mine. Email me at kirkm@remax.net for a free estimate of your home. Again, kirkm@remax.net. If you're a buyer, buckle up. You will be competing with other buyers to get that home. I can share creative techniques to win that bid. I have recently won several contracts, and we weren't even the highest bid. It's all about how you package the offer. I use my years of experience as a former appraiser, a lender, title closer, home inspector, and now as a full-time agent to prepare a listing or a competitive offer for my buyers. Email me at kirkm@remax.net for a free estimate of your home. Again, kirkm@remax.net. That's Kirk McCullen with RE/MAX Results.
Beyond the Beltway with Bruce Dumont. A live discussion of the week's news and events. Sunday night from 9 to midnight. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Ooh, Lord, my trouble so hard. Don't nobody know my trouble but God. Don't nobody know my trouble but God. Ooh, Lord, my trouble so hard. Ooh, Lord, my trouble so hard. Don't nobody know my trouble but God. Don't nobody know my trouble but God. Ooh, Lord, my trouble so hard. Ooh, Lord, my
So,
trouble so hard.
you ever wonder what happened to Moby? Well, Moby reared his head in two ways yesterday. One is I didn't realize he was in that Please McDonald's Don't Hurt Your Chickens anymore. That video, he was in the video. And also there's this really weird story about him claiming in a new book that he has that he dated Natalie Portman, which of course made Max Foisey very angry.
This is very true.
So, but yeah, he claimed he dated Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman was like, no, he didn't. I was like 18. He was like 30. He was a weird, creepy old man. I mean, we talked. I went to his concert, but we didn't date. And it's in his book. And then she's like, no, we didn't date. He's like, yes, we did. I'm sorry you don't remember things the way I did. But, you know, it's really weird. Anyway, that was Moby. His music's not too bad, but he appeared twice yesterday in our lives. Johnny Rose is on line one. Johnny Rose, one of my favorite drivers. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning, brother.
Good morning this morning.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good this morning. I just brought up one of my favorite topics, Sinatra.
Yeah.
I do my singing telegrams, and I'm a stickler for words, and I agree with you that either do it right or don't do it. That's why Sinatra was so great, because I don't even know how many songs he recorded, but he was meticulous in phraseology, and he always had the best writers, Sammy Cahn and Cole Porter.
Yeah. Quincy Jones was arranging his stuff. Count Basie. Yeah, man.
All the band members. It's interesting because I drive George Norrie, and he's really, and George sings a little bit and stuff too. George does, and when he does the shows around the country.
Yeah,
but he's very, very meticulous on words also.
Right on, man.
Phraseology.
If you're going to do it,
don't do it half. Don't do it half-fast. Either be fast or slow. Don't do it half-fast.
Right on, man. All right, check it out, Johnny Rose.
I also.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, thank you. I also agree with you. Got to get my political riff in there. I agree with, the thing is, President Trump always goes with his gut and will always come out on top on this kind of crap that they put on us.
Right. Proved it in Iran, proved it with the people in there. Johnny, thanks for calling the show, buddy. This is Johnny Rose, and check him out because he is a great singing telegrammer. Yeah, President Trump prevailed yesterday, even though the news media wouldn't tell you that. And by the way, before I get too heavily into this, a couple of things I want to bring up to you. As Johnny points out, if you're going to do it right, or don't do it at all. I happen to think, well, and I know this sounds weird, but I don't think anybody ought to sing Sinatra except Sinatra. I mean, there's only one person who can do Sinatra, and that's Frank Sinatra. I don't understand why you would even do one of his songs. I mean, to me, it's almost sacrilegious to do a Frank Sinatra song, to tell you the truth, unless you're actually doing it as Frank Sinatra, like a lot of guys do, But if you're gonna, I don't think anybody ought to do it. Much like I'm watching some remake of The Jeffersons. We were just talking about that earlier in the week. Now suddenly there's something with Will Ferrell and The Jeffersons. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't just remake The Jeffersons. The Jeffersons are the Jeffersons, right? Am I right or am I wrong? I don't want to see Will Ferrell as the guy, as the white dude in that white couple. I mean, I like Will Ferrell. I think he's very talented. And I think one of the Wayans brothers is George Jefferson. I don't know. Those guys are all talented, but you're not the Jeffersons. Is it a movie, Maxie, or is it a TV show? Are you aware of this?
Yeah, it's a live event. I think it's going on tonight, and I think Jamie Foxx is George Jefferson.
Oh, Jamie Foxx. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I don't know. I just don't think you ought to be doing that, Nowadays, though, they just rename, like they'll do movies, like The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I'm going, no, The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 was like in 1974. You can't. I'm surprised people can just make a movie, name it the exact same thing, and do it. I don't understand that. It's really weird. It's like, and in all due respect to Weezer, just doing Africa again, the same way. Who did Africa again? The Toto. Yeah, same way Toto did. That's not. Why are you do? It'd be different if you did Africa like differently, but just to do Africa the same way Toto did isn't artistry to me. I don't know what I don't understand that. Maybe I'm just crabby about that kind of stuff. I should sound like an old man, right? I sound like Lou Dobbs. I'm Lou Dobbs, and don't remake the Jeffersons again. And let my wife board an airplane with a gun. Leave her alone. Let me tell you something. Nobody ought to do Frank Sinatra unless Frank Sinatra does Frank Sinatra. Now get off my lawn. I got to watch myself sometimes, people. You know what? Keep me in check. That's all I'm asking you to do. Keep in mind, I'm going to get to this thing that happened yesterday with Pelosi and Trump. But remember, I was talking about the Antifa punks and their violence and how we need to subcontract out here in the States to the Italian police who don't put up with anything, and have them on standby for verdicts people don't like, and election outcomes people don't like, and anything else that the left doesn't like. You could maybe rent your own personal Italian police officer for when Maxine Waters' flying monkeys approaches you at the gasoline station, or Mitch McConnell and his wife could have used the Italian police when somebody grabbed his take-home bag off of his table and yelled at him. I'll tell you one thing, the Covington High School students could have used the Italian police too, although they weren't actually attacked, but they might as well have been. But now there's this thing called milkshaking. Have you heard about that? Where Farage and the team over there in the UK, they're getting milkshakes thrown on them. It's apparently a thing with protesters. It's kind of like egging or whatever. And apparently people believe that that throwing a milkshake on somebody is okay. The leader of the Brexit movement is Nigel Farage, and he had a milkshake thrown on him, and people, left-wingers in the U.S., celebrated it. They thought it was great. Now, obviously, you all in my realm know what you would do if somebody threw a milkshake on you. You know exactly what you would do. But there, they apparently in Britain they have to take it. So Nigel Farage could have used the Italian police too, I guess. But it's interesting how the left wing, like Bill Press, he was on, I think it was NPR, talking with another person who was a host. This is like the early hosts of the whole Crossfire. Remember, Bill Press was on Crossfire. Crossfire was actually a pretty good show when Buchanan and Novak did it. Wasn't that was a great show, man? CNN's Crossfire. So anyway, he's on with another host there, Peter Ogburn. He's a producer on the Bill Press show, and they're going back and forth about milkshaking. You want to hear it? Here you go.
Lots coming up, but first,
this is the Full Court Press.
All righty, just a couple of other stories making news. Bill, remember?
Yes.
It was about this time yesterday that I told you that Nigel Farage had managed to convince McDonald's to stop selling milkshakes around his event that he was having yesterday.
Right,
and
yeah.
McDonald's agreed.
No milkshakes nearby.
Well, not at McDonald's.
Oh.
But one protester got a milkshake from Five Guys and doused Nigel Farage with a milkshake while he was walking around town yesterday.
Pardon, you buried the lead. There are Five Guys in London?
Oh, yeah. They're worldwide, man. Oh, they're everywhere.
Whoa.
Yeah, Five Guys is everywhere. They're like a global thing now.
Oh.
And the guy went and got just to be clear, because we care about the facts here, a salted caramel and banana milkshake that he then threw all over Nigel Farage.
You know what? That's a
on
good
camera.
one because that's got a lot of sticky stuff in it.
Exactly. It's going to be really hard to get out of that suit.
Ooh.
And he had it all over him. They immediately whisked Nigel Farage away. The guy who threw the milkshake was arrested, later seen in handcuffs. But Nigel Farage immediately was whisked away to the car. Not before, I should say, everybody got good pictures of him wearing a milkshake suit. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'd be careful. I love that idea. I hope that idea comes to this country, but
sure,
you got to be.
Yeah, but
careful.
Yeah,
you're going to get.
But you got to be careful. But there's Bill Press and his producer celebrating what essentially is an assault of a conservative. I guarantee you, Maxine Waters comes to town. Throw a milkshake on Maxine Waters and see whether Bill Press and Peter Ogburn or whatever the hell his name is, or the news media or the late night comedians celebrate that. Because they actually think this is a cool thing to throw a milkshake on a duly elected leader, as long as they're conservative. And that's the environment we live in, which ultimately these people are going to, some of these people, whether it be Maxine Waters' Flying Monkeys or somebody in Antifa or whatever else, like if milkshaking reaches this country, I guarantee you the news media will think it's a novelty. They'll think it's amazing. They'll make jokes about it and all kinds of things like that. But it really is actually assault. And one of these days, somebody's going to go too far. And of course, if they do go too far, it will be their fault when somebody responds to them in kind. Because I guarantee you, if Nigel Farage went and broke the milkshake thrower's nose, it would be another violent attack by a conservative and blah, blah, blah. And, thin-skinned Nigel Farage. That's how it would all turn out, I guarantee you. And thankfully, the individuals didn't do any more harm than a milkshake. But just the very idea that we have seen, and I guarantee you, Bill Press and his producer, they're not the only ones who are celebrating this. It was all over the news yesterday, and everybody was laughing about it. CBS News this morning was laughing about it, the milkshake thing, and making jokes and, about McDonald's or, what flavor was the milkshake and that kind of thing. But I guarantee you, you throw a milkshake at Michelle Obama, you throw a milkshake at Nancy Pelosi, and see how that is responded to. It will be the end of the world on all the major newscasts. But I know that's a small thing. But remember, this is not, people are fighting back. The Covington school kids, for instance, they were not assaulted per se. They were just assaulted by lies and the media engine. But they're fighting back. And at some point, I guarantee you, when 2020 comes around and people try to pull this stuff they did in 2016 on the outside of the rallies, I hope that people fight back. I hope that Americans and Trump supporters fight back and just not take it. It was sad to see in 2016 that there were some Republicans who were acting as if Trump supporters deserved what they got at these rallies, which was a shame. That actually pulled me quite a bit far off of Cruz's train there when he did that. Cruz has since been a great guy, and I really appreciate that, and a big supporter of President Trump in the Senate, and I think he's a good senator, but that kind of threw me off when he and Kasich, remember that Chicago rally was canceled, and they were like, "This is what you get when your language is so." It's like, oh Lord, really, guys? So anyway, the milkshake. Keep an eye on that one and see whether that is coming to America. Your phone calls are welcome. Call Tammy.com. Real estate listener lines 844-855-1380.
Live from the Arrowhead Building Supply Studio, this is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Well, we can't just seem to get clear of these accidents out there. We still have a crash blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. Also a crash on 70 eastbound at Jennings Station Road. That one blocks the right lane. And your stop and go back from Florissant. We can see that one from the jam cam at Jennings Station. 6440 westbound, an accident in the acceleration lane before Tower Grove Avenue. And we do still have 270 northbound heavy Tesson Ferry to Manchester, westbound 367 to West Florissant. Traffic is sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
All right, so I had a great conversation with Michael Reynolds the other day, and it was with Michael's Flooring Outlet, and of course started his business with $700 in his pocket, and it was just for 25 years. The rest is history. And so he told me a little secret, and this is no offense to the home builders out there, but Michael said, you know what I tell people with their new homes is that because a lot of these home builders, they make a lot of their money off of just like juicing you on a floor, like on the flooring. And it's kind of like, the way restaurants make a ton of money off soft drinks as opposed to anything else. It's where they make all their money. Sometimes a home builder make a lot of money off the floor. So I would suggest you just put down a cheapy little floor. Go like the very cheapest you want to go. You can get it from me. Just lay down, a pad on there if you want. And then once the home builders are gone and they're done, come to me. And I'll give you a great price on your brand new carpeting. So if some of you are out there building new homes, and again, I don't want to get in a fight with the home builders. I don't know whether all of them do that, but I'm just saying that's a little trick in the trade that Michael says, hey, if you're building a new home, work with me. Come to me. I'll tell you all about the tricks of the trade in terms of flooring and get you a nice floor, beautiful floor, but at a price well below what your home builder is probably going to pop you with. So just want to let you know, that's the inside secret. He always has some tips for me. And don't forget, too, only through June 3rd is the $500 off coupon up there on michaelsflooringoutlet.com, the website there. $500 off your next flooring project. It's michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
KXFN, St. Louis, K287BY, St. Louis.
Greetings, St. Louis. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. Excited to welcome Jamie Allman back to St. Louis Radio. As a longtime supporter and sponsor of Allman in the Morning, my goal as his trusted advisor is to make sure that you are in good hands. With over 70 years of combined staff experience, my team of agents and I know how to make sure that you get the best value for the money you spend on your insurance. Is your insurance company currently hiding behind a website, out of town, or just a call center with no accountability to you or our community? Would you like to speak to the same person every time you call? Is there a new roof on your home? Do you have a teenage driver in your family? Has your credit score improved greatly over the last few years? You can email me at matthewmitchell@allstate.com, or you can call my agents at 855-QUOTE-ME. Folks, there is safety in numbers. Put the power of Allstate to work for you as America's largest and strongest insurance company. This is Matthew Mitchell of the Matthew Mitchell Allstate Agency. Again, the number to call is 855-QUOTE-ME.
Hey, don't just listen to Allman in the Morning. See the show at theanswerstl.com. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We now return you to the Motion Worker album, which is already in progress.
So you've already heard the inside of what happened yesterday with this meeting and the haggarific stunt that Nancy Pelosi pulled right before the meeting. It was such a rude, disgusting, and vile thing for a sitting House Speaker to do, especially one that is so heralded by everybody as being this amazing civil woman. But you're an ass if right before a meeting with the President of the United States on infrastructure, something actually that your parties both agree on, unfortunately, because I'm not a big fan of the infrastructure thing, but anyway, and right before the meeting, you accuse the president of a cover-up and of basically being a criminal. I don't know what you think the outcome of that meeting is going to be if you say that right beforehand, but you're an ass if you do that. I'm sorry, but that's what you are. But the news media celebrated Nancy Pelosi's bravery and made it all about President Trump being the bad guy before walking out of a meeting. I'm surprised he even had the meeting after what she did. But that's being a jackass right there. And yet that's the kind of comportment that the news media and others prop up as courage. A woman, and it's interesting how everything that President Trump says or a Republican says is always followed by without evidence, right? Shepard Smith, I didn't listen to his show, but did Shepard Smith say that Nancy Pelosi accused President Donald Trump of a cover-up without evidence? Did he say that? I bet he didn't. But they always do for Republicans. But she made that accusation. Wasn't expected at all to explain it. And then when President Trump said, you know what, I'm not doing this. He was the one who was the bad guy. Pretty amazing. And not only was Nancy Pelosi being an ass, but she damaged her party doing all this. And not that I care about their future, but Democrats ought to be very angry at her purposely torpedoing this meeting. They're all claiming that President Trump was just looking for an excuse. It's like, I don't... Listen, she accused him of a cover-up. So anyway, the infrastructure situation, and again, I'm not a fan of this infrastructure bill at all. I don't like this whole plan. But anyway, it was the one thing that Democrats could have said that they accomplished going into 2020. Instead, what's going to happen, and they probably could have cut a deal with the president, but instead of what's going to happen is they are going into 2020 after having taken over the House, and they're going into 2020 with not one accomplishment to their victory. Not one. And with the exception of squawking, screaming, screeching about impeachment, and they're not even doing that. So they're going into 2020 without one thing that they could brag about or say that they accomplished. After this, remember the whole monumental takeover of the House. What an amazing thing. Nancy Pelosi Democrats are now taking over the House. It's a full-on revolt. It's the resistance in all of its full glory. And yet almost 2 years later, they've done nothing with it. I'm glad, but they've done nothing with it. So Nancy Pelosi not only was an ass, but she also damaged her party's future in 2020, at least legislatively, at least as it relates to Congress and the House for that matter. That's a pretty bad move. That's a pretty bad move. But see, Nancy Pelosi believes that she and her pretty red coat are adored by everybody. And no matter what she does, no matter what kind of an ass she is, the news media is always going to take the side of her. But this time she went one bridge too far as I'm concerned, and too bad, so sad for the Democratic Party heading into 2020. Nice going, Nancy. Good job.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. There are downed trees and power lines, homes and businesses damaged or destroyed after tornadoes raked parts of Missouri overnight. The state capital, Jefferson City, was hard hit. Austin Thompson lives there and says his apartment complex suffered heavy damage.
Maintenance shed's completely leveled down here. Roof on the main office is gone. Look over, there's one building that's basically one story now. Every building there is two-story. This one building is one story now. My building, my room, every piece of sheetrock, every window's blown out.
A tornado killed 3 people in Golden City, Missouri, and now flooding is a major concern. Severe thunderstorms moving across parts of Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. John Walker Lind has been released from a federal prison in Indiana. The California man spent 17 years behind bars for providing support to the Taliban in Afghanistan. He was captured on a battlefield there in late 2001. There is a legislative standoff in Washington. President Trump says it will not end until House Democrats stop investigating him.
Any hope that the president and congressional Democrats could work together on infrastructure has been shot down, and Mr. Trump says ongoing House investigations are to blame.
You can't do it under these circumstances.
He calls the investigations phony and is refusing to negotiate policy until they're over. And the president's also upset that the speaker has accused him of engaging in a cover-up. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Lawmakers in New York have given final approval to a bill that would allow President Trump's state tax returns to be released to congressional committees that have so far been barred from getting the president's federal returns. Stocks sharply lower on Wall Street. The Dow down about 370 points, loss of more than 1%. The S&P is off 35 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We're still looking at a number of problems. Not all of them have to do with traffic delays. We have the exit ramp from southbound 255 to State Street blocked with flooding, and the intersection of Gravois and Hampton remains closed for utility work. An accident that we have had most of this morning rush, a crash still blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. And 255 westbound, still a left lane closed on the Jefferson Barracks Bridge until further notice. Only the right lane is open during off-peak hours. Traffic sponsored by Express Services, Inc. You work hard. You know what it takes to succeed. Now it's time to put your experience to work and launch your business. For a limited time, Express Employment Professionals will give you $25,000 to open your franchise. Get to know Express. Visit expressfranchising.com today. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3
The Answer.
Lots of you have been curious about what I've been talking about, so it's finally breaking through on you, right? With the Skin Laser Institute of St. Louis and Dr. Elira Figueroa. And folks, I got to tell you, she is working wonders for people's faces, for their insides, and also for their fat. And I'll start with the faces. I'll talk about microneedling, and I'll talk to you about all the other fancy stuff she does, including Botox, but also the hydrofacials. These are all simple ways to just kind of bring out the most of your beautiful face. And microneedling especially is just working with what's already there, but pulling out the beautiful elements, the collagen, all that kind of stuff. It just kind of beautifies your face. You'll be amazed. The hydrofacials are great, too, because they're erasing that top layer of skin, so to speak, and bringing out the most shiny, youthful part of your face, which is amazing. Also, when it comes to fat burning, sculpting, body sculpting, that kind of thing, she has ways of getting that cellulite off your thighs that you will wow you, and she can sculpt the love handles as well, tighten the skin, everything else to make you look beautiful for that upcoming wedding, or maybe it's a situation where you're finally at swimsuit season, you're like, I can't get rid of this. It's bothering me. So, yeah, she'll help you do that as well at the Skin Laser Institute, skinlaserstl.com. And don't forget about the IV treatments as well. Those are kind of all the rage these days. And nowadays, it's hugely safe, hugely comfortable. It takes you 10, 15 minutes, and you're done. All kinds of different IVs you could choose depending on what your needs are, whether it be an increase in metabolism or vitamin B injections or any of that kind of stuff. She'll make you new again at skinlaserstl.com. Dr. Elira Figueroa on Instagram, skinlaserstl.
I'm Russ Evans.
I'm Chris Carter. And I'm Shannon Nordstrom.
Together, we're the Motor Medics on Under the Hood.
Join us for fun and free automotive advice. If your car is feeling ill, we're the doctors, and we're here for you.
Tune in and be entertained while learning more about your car and how to save money on ownership costs.
You can ask questions and find out more at underthehoodshow.com.
And don't forget about our Facebook page. Join the Motor Medics each week on Under the Hood. Brought to you in part by Custom Car and Truck in O'Fallon, Illinois.
Under the Hood, Sunday afternoons at 2 on The Answer.
This hour of Allman in the Morning is brought to you in part by Dr. Anna Smith. Come see what your smile can be at Dentistry with TLC.
Common Sense Radio with Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you,
you know, everybody loves a good car show, man, you know? Remember the one on NPR with the frickin' those two brothers? They did called Car Talk. That was an awesome show. They were really good. Being a good car show is hard to find. And that one sounds pretty good there on The Answer at 2 o'clock, I think, Sundays. Yeah. And that's always great for a weekend afternoon listening to a car. You know, there's not as much of that going on because cars are all so computerized now. So somebody calling in about their water pump or their fuel injector or their whatever it happens to be, sometimes it doesn't, people aren't doing a whole lot of their own car stuff now. But still, it's an interesting show. I like those. I like those shows. I just want to make sure that I know. I'll tell my bosses at Salem, by the way, in case they ask. This is not a marijuana leaf on my shirt, okay? Just so you know. I one time wore this. I had one guy, I don't know who it was, flipping out over me wearing he thought I was promoting marijuana on my shirt, going crazy. And I was like, this is not a marijuana leaf. This is a Japanese maple leaf. And it's one of the signature items, signature logos from Boast, which is a sporting goods line for squash and tennis and all that kind of thing. And they've had this logo since 1973. So just want to let you know, this isn't weed. Just so you know. Did you think it was? The first time I saw it. Oh, yeah. You're accusing me of wearing the shirt all the time? You saying I wear the shirt too much? No. I'm just kidding. Oh, Lord. All right, so let me get back to this Joe Concha. I've been meaning to get to this all morning. So Concha is essentially nailing something that I've been nibbling around the edges on. And by the way, lately, Nancy Pelosi is going to speak on the so-called feud, which really wasn't a feud before she started the feud, but who's counting, right? So Nancy Pelosi, and again, there's this insinuation somehow, and I guarantee you that Nancy Pelosi thinks she's the president of the United States. She thinks she's running this country. And I'm glad that Donald Trump is training her like a dog to get with it and understand the concept of co-equal branches of government. And so Pelosi, who is and by the way, aside from being an ass, she's an idiot for what she did to the Democrat Party. They're going to go into 2020 with nothing. Nothing. They're not even going to impeach President Trump. And no arrests or, by the sergeant at arms, sorry. None of that going on. So they're going to go into 2020 without any signature item that they've accomplished for their constituencies for the entire time they've been in power. Infrastructure was the last possible chance they'd have to actually accomplish anything of any substance, and she blew it. And Trump knew that, too. He said, great, okay, you want to accuse me of a cover-up and committing a crime as President of the United States? I'm going to keep you from accomplishing anything. Good. I'm glad he did it. And people are going, what about the roads, though, and the bridges? I'm like, well, another year and a half of the roads isn't going to, of a bump of a pothole isn't going to hurt you. Anyway, Joe Concha is on with Tucker Carlson talking about this tendency of the news media to basically just simply regurgitate.
Joe, is it my
everything that the media says? So when Nancy Pelosi says we're in a constitutional crisis with her weird shiny face and bizarre looking, she looks like a screech monkey with her weird little getup. We're in a constitutional crisis. Automatically, the news media calls it constitutional crisis. It's an existential threat. It's like, we're posing an existential threat. I mean, everything she says. So Joe Concha is on with Tucker and basically will just repeat. He says the media just repeats everything that comes out of her mouth, which is why she felt she could reliably be the person that she was yesterday without any kind of anybody holding her to account. Here's Joe Concha.
Nation, or did once again the Speaker of the House deliver the talking point that everyone in cable news eagerly took up and repeated?
I think you're seeing a pattern here, Tucker. I remember back in January, the term manufactured crisis was used to talk about what was going on at the U.S. southern border. And then you heard over and over, dozens upon dozens of times, and not just from one network, but different networks, different anchors or pundits or guests using that same exact term to the word manufactured crisis. Now, sure enough, as we know, and even the New York Times admits, it's no longer a manufactured crisis at the border. That's a real thing. Story for another time. And then we had the other crisis, which was the constitutional crisis. And that was 2 weeks ago when Bill Barr, after he testified in front of the Senate, decided not to do so with the House when they changed the rules around as far as staffers being able to question him, which had never happened in Congress before. And he said, this is going to be a circus. No, thanks. I'm not going to show up. So that became a constitutional crisis. And Pelosi says that as well. And sure enough, the Media Research Center, and I get they're conservative, but the numbers here are usually accurate. They found that between May 8th and May 12th, that on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and MSNBC, that exact term, constitutional crisis, was uttered 386 times.
I played that for
I'm
you.
not very good at math, but I'm pretty sure that's more than 70 times if you average it out per network. So yeah, it goes out one mouth, it comes out another mouth, and now here we are with cover-up, and that will be the next new constitutional crisis as far as terms that we hear over and over again, as if it's an echo chamber.
Yeah. So again, and cover-up that's a pretty serious charge. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. That's a very serious charge to make against the president, and it's inexplicable right before you go into a meeting with him in a supposed good faith attempt to work on something that your constituencies might say, oh, thanks, we'll just go ahead and thank you for whatever you did. And of course, you came into power, it was celebrated, and you've squandered any chance of getting anything done. But she's going to talk again today, and the news media will herald her as the new American hero, and we'll talk about her beautiful red coat. Meanwhile, impeachment. So here's what you're also getting from the networks. You know how sometimes you pass a bill just to read the bill? So really what Chris Cuomo wants Congress to do on CNN is to go ahead and impeach the president, and then just find out if he does, if he should be impeached. Here's the thinking of Chris Cuomo.
All right, so let's take you through the plus minuses. Impeachment has upsides. Like what? Well, potentially, it could be the best way to get you the information you deserve.
Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you. Thanks, Coach. Chris Cuomo coaching the Democrats. Tips on impeachment by Chris Cuomo. When they're not telling us, tips on how to keep our pets safe during cold weather and how to keep safe during a tornado, Chris Cuomo is going to impart his wisdom on us on how to impeach. Best tips on impeachment. But keep in mind, impeachment, it didn't, by the way, it didn't work out well for Republicans in 96. And so, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be surprised if President Trump was begging them to go ahead and do it. They don't have the courage to do this. They're not going to do this. I mean, they might. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, but if I know these Democrats the way I know Democrats, they're not going to do this. Where's Nadler's Sergeant at Arms handcuff arrest of Bill Barr? Where is that? Now it's on to McGahn, and they keep on, we'll put them in, we have jails, we're going to put them in jail. It's like, okay, do it. But they won't. So I pretty much believe that by 2020 and the election turning around, Democrats will have accomplished nothing, not even impeachment proceedings. Anyway, here's Chris Cuomo with more tips in case you guys are wondering on your way to work. If you're going into work thinking maybe I'm going to impeach my boss or something, tips on how to impeach.
Impeachment has upsides. Like what? Well, potentially, it could be the best way to get you the information you deserve so that you can decide if there were an actionable abuse of power here by the president. Impeachment proceedings may also accelerate some of the legal battles that this president is throwing up all over the place as challenges. The AG is already held in contempt. Don McGahn may be next. Let's see what happens with Hicks and Mueller. But on the other hand, Democrats just got a big decision against the president's tax prep people pretty quickly, which leads many Democrats to say this.
Our process is working well and will not be disturbed.
James Clyburn, the majority whip. My goodness, that dude's coffin creaked open, and there we have a majority whip all of a sudden thanks to the 2018 turnover. And these guys have done nothing. The only accomplishment we have now is we now know that James Clyburn is actually alive, which I guess is good news, obviously, but we were wondering where he was, and it turns out he's there.
Let's just keep grinding it out.
Okay, James.
We'll win it.
The grind takes time. Even if Clyburn is right, win when? In time for the election? No guarantee. And if they swing, they have to deliver. All right, take a look at these polls. 69% of Democrats say they want impeachment. But what they really want...
By the way, that's actually not a good number. 69%? I mean, honestly, you'd think it would be like 99% the way people are talking, the way the news media. I think among the news media, if you polled them, 99% of the news media want the president to be impeached, but only 69% of Democrats. And I think that's a great figure, too, because it shows you, as I have said before, because, I'm not a person who attacks people who vote Democrat. I don't believe in attacking voters. I mean, I'll take over on the, on the leadership side and the actual elected politicians I'll take on. But if you're a Democrat voter, I don't think you're stupid. I don't think you're mindless. I don't think you're deplorable. I don't think any of that. But the fact of the matter is, I do know the Democrats I know, with the exception maybe of Kaysen, the Democratic Party and its lack of true values, lack of economic ideas, all that kind of stuff, and also just on its views of immigration and everything else, and climate even, are way out of step with most Democrats. I'm giving Democrats a nod here. That most Democrats are really not as left as these individuals think they are. And I think President Trump proved in 2016 that most Republicans aren't as Bill Kristol-like as people think they are. Or Glenn Becky. They're just not, they're not. Which is why, for instance, President Trump could have some liberal stuff in his background, or maybe even speak sometimes like a liberal, and people will still go ahead and say, yeah, but I know what he's going to do for us. I know he's going to fight for us on a number of different levels, so I can go ahead and take that on. So I'm good. But yeah, 69% is not a large number.
He likely won't get, which is removal. So going through the effort and not delivering could cost them with this group and many beyond. Takes us to the second poll. When you talk all Americans, that please impeach number drops to 37%.
Yeah, that's a terrible number. And which is why it's inexplicable, with 69% of Democrats and 37% of Americans overall supporting impeachment, why it's inexplicable that the Democrat Party and its leadership are publicly obsessing over it and talking about it, and the news media too, when no one thinks it. Very few people think it's a good idea, even Democrats. That gives you every indication you need of how truly out of step the Democratic Party is, and Nancy Pelosi and everything else. They are absolutely, in this situation, completely out of step with not only the majority of Americans, but even many Democrats. And Chris Cuomo, he does an entire segment on the benefits of impeachment, and then does a poll that shows that people don't believe there are benefits to impeachment. I don't understand CNN sometimes. Oh, and I pushed, sorry. Here.
Want impeachment. But what they really want, they likely won't get, which is removal. So going through the effort and not delivering could cost them with this group and many beyond. Takes us to the second poll. When you talk all Americans, that please impeach number drops to 37%. All right. So you're seeing a split. And that,
so Chris Cuomo, somebody should notify him that he's wasting his time right now, wasting valuable airtime.
Split is why you're hearing stuff like this.
The President of the United States of America needs to be impeached.
We don't need impeachment at all to be able to move forward with the investigation.
Yeah, so that's the division between Maxine Waters and Katie Hill there in California. So you can tell the Democratic Party's a mess, and Nancy Pelosi clearly didn't help the Democratic Party yesterday by being a public, shameless ass with her commentary about cover-up. And today she's going to go back out on her stage for another performance, and we'll see how that one goes. But President Trump has told her explicitly that the well is dry. That your infrastructure thing is not going to happen. You are done, and I'm done with you. So enjoy the campaign. It's Common Sense Radio. Your phone lines are open, 1380 and 105.3. The Answer. Call Tammy.com real estate listener lines, 844-855-1380.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Business owners, self-employed, part-time employees, are you struggling to pay your bills because you no longer can afford your health insurance? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. With Obamacare premiums skyrocketing, higher deductibles, and shrinking networks, let me introduce you to Dryden Camus Insurance Agency as the answer, the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency has non-Obamacare ACA compliant plans that do not fund abortion. There's no enrollment period, and you don't have to pay for expensive extras like pediatric dentistry or maternity care. Contact Joyce at Dryden Camus Insurance Agency and start saving up to 60%. Call 877-695-0245. That's 877-695-0245, or just go to kddi-ins.com. Cut through the confusion and save money with Dryden Camus Insurance Agency, serving Missouri and Illinois. This is the answer. This is the solution. Dryden Camus Insurance Agency. Just go to kddi-ins.com.
You can totally revamp your home with a simple window treatment by Michael Proctor, Proctor Drapery. Proctor spelled like doctor, proctordrapery.com. There are a lot of people sometimes who overthink things. Maybe they feel like they need to paint their entire dining room over, or they need a new piece of furniture or whatever. But the reality is, with something very smart and spiffy, brought to you by Michael Proctor, you can transform your dining room. You can transform your living room. You can transform your den, whatever it happens to be, with a nice, beautiful window treatment project by Michael Proctor, Proctor spelled like doctor. Behold the Hunter Douglas robotic shade you can have in your office or in your home. And this is a beautiful thing, and it's awesome, and it's luxurious, and it makes you feel like James Bond, or Jane Bond, and you're going to love what that does. That's a Hunter Douglas piece, and Michael knows all the different fabrics and can get anything for you, any color, any size, whatever it happens to be, he can get that for you, and it'll look absolutely beautiful in your home as it looks in the studio here. Actually, that really does look pretty groovy, I got to tell you. And so you're going to love what he does for you, not only with the Hunter Douglas robotic shades, but also with the side panels and the Norman shutters. These are plantation shutters. These are all the rage, and you're really going to love what Michael Proctor does for you, not only at a great value, but also conveniently, because he's a drive-up guy. He's got his mobile design unit. He's there for you Saturdays or Sundays. In fact, sometimes he prefers working on the weekends because you have more time. So hit him up. It's Proctor Drapery. Proctor spelled like doctor, proctordrapery.com.
Get total freedom in your life safely and quickly. Build wealth and passive income so you never worry about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty. Hi, I'm Steve Davis, an investor in thousands of units over the years. Now it's your turn. Del Walmsley has been my mentor for nearly 25 years, and he's taught over 100,000 people just like you the principles of financial freedom through live one-on-one mentoring at Lifestyles Unlimited and his national radio show. I'm excited to tell you about the real estate workshop that changed my life. The workshop gets you on the inside of what we do and what we believe and unlocks the 5 ways we make money in real estate. Just like your personal trainer, Lifestyles Unlimited will motivate, encourage, and teach you so you can get in the best financial shape of your life. Call 866-971-8970 or go to 5wayswemakemoney.com. That's 5wayswemakemoney.com to register for the workshop that will change your life and let you stop worrying about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty.
Listen to Allman in the Morning with Alexa. Wake up and say, Alexa, play The Answer St. Louis. Now, back to Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
I know there are still people who are hospitalized in Jefferson City, but boy, I'll tell you what, I don't know why I haven't seen or heard of what category that tornado was, but it was a pretty heavy-duty one. It blasted through Jefferson City and destroyed a lot, but thank God no one was killed. Could have been terrible. Right in the middle of the night like that. Oh, it's Category 3, you said? Father Tom's in the house, and is reporting back from the Weather Center, the Father Tom Weather Command Center, and is indicating that it was a Category 3. Either way, those things are, the damage was terrible. And it was a reminder, because yesterday was the anniversary, surprisingly the 8th anniversary of the Joplin tornado. It was just like it was yesterday, for crying out loud. That killed 160 people. That was an E5. it was the most heavily forecasted tornado ever. And yet there were some people who ignored the warnings. But there are also people who, even if they did everything they needed to do, cover themselves up or whatever, they were in the basement, they died in the basement. So, well, at least many of them did. And so surviving an E5 in certain circumstances is just impossible, regardless of where you are or how you protect yourself. So, and then there were also deaths at the hospitals and the care centers there because the electricity went out. So people on ventilators just suffocated, and that was a sad thing too. But it reminded us, this tornado in Jefferson reminded us that May is just a wicked month sometimes in Missouri and beyond. And there's some terrible ones in Oklahoma too. But thank God that no one was killed in Jefferson City. But I realize people are in the hospital now. So we'll just pray for them, and hopefully everything will be okay. But the Joplin one reminds me, and so many people, so many good people. Joplin's back, boy, I'll tell you. It's really they rebuilt that hospital there, and really just an amazing job done by everybody, a community pulling together, and also with outside help too. I remember a late great buddy, Jeff Hansen, was a big help down there. And I know a few nurses and people in the medical field who were down there as well. So it's a good thing that Jefferson City isn't in that situation this morning. That is for sure. All right, it's time for Father Tom in just a couple minutes. It's Common Sense Radio.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. There are downed trees and power lines, homes and businesses damaged or destroyed after tornadoes raked parts of Missouri overnight. The state capital, Jefferson City, was hard hit. The tornado is blamed for 3 deaths in Golden City, Missouri. Now, flooding is a major concern with severe thunderstorms moving across parts of Oklahoma, Missouri, and Kansas. John Walker Lind is out of a federal prison now. The California man spent 17 years behind bars for providing support to the Taliban in Afghanistan. He was captured on a battlefield there in 2001. There is a legislative standoff in Washington. President Trump says it will not end until House Democrats end their investigations of him. On Wall Street, the Dow down 348 points. The S&P is off 36. More details at srnnews.com.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
We have a little bit of everything out there. Post-morning rush. Your exit ramp from southbound 255 to State Street remains blocked with flooding. The intersection of Gravois and Hampton remains closed for utility work. We still have an accident blocking the right side of the ramp from southbound 270 to westbound 70. And 6440 eastbound 170 to Big Bend, a slight delay there. Now 255 southbound before 64. 2 left lanes are blocked there until noon for road work. Traffic is sponsored by Dell. Special announcement. Get up to $300 off select Dell and Alienware computers with Intel Core processors during Dell's Memorial Day sale. Get free shipping on everything, including electronics like Bose headphones. Call 800-BUY-DELL or go to Dell.com/Memorial Day. I'm Bonnie Green with your St. Louis Metro traffic on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
1380 The Answer. Weather.
We'll have partly sunny skies today. It'll be warm and humid with a shower or thunderstorm around. Today's high 84. Partly cloudy and warm tonight, the low 69. Mostly sunny skies tomorrow, very warm with a high of 89. Partly cloudy and warm tomorrow night, the low 69. Cloudy most of the time Saturday with a shower or thunderstorm around. Saturday's high 85. I'm Drew Shannon with your St. Louis Metro forecast on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Dana Lash. Do you realize that teaching and setting up kids to believe that they have no responsibility for their actions is actually creating an environment of government dependency? The complete spirit of liberty and individualism is that you're responsible for the actions you undertake, your own actions. But if you remove that ownership of responsibility, then you're also creating a dependency on something else.
The Dana Show. Weekdays at 1 on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Curtains, shades, blinds, shutters. What are the best for living rooms or bedrooms? Let me tell you about the quality customized service you will receive when you call Michael Proctor at Proctor Drapery. Michael Proctor is an interior designer with exceptional expertise when it comes to window treatments for your home or business. Michael Proctor has served our St. Louis area since 1974 with the highest quality and value for custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. He is also a top-tier Hunter Douglas priority dealer and your first choice for Norman Plantation shutters. Call Michael Proctor today and schedule your in-home consultation with Michael's mobile design unit. He will come to you. Weekend and evening appointments are available. The one-on-one appointment with Michael Proctor will ensure the look is exactly what you're looking for in your home or business. Cut down on the risk of error and make your home great again. Proctor Drapery is the answer. Schedule your appointment today with Michael. Contact Michael at proctordrapery.com. It's Proctor spelled like doctor.
This hour of Allman in the Morning is brought to you in part by Dr. Anna Smith, the #1 provider of oral sleep appliances in the United States. Learn more at cpapsucks.com.
The Dana Show, this afternoon at 1. Now, more Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
Normally, you know, when Father Tom's in, I like to begin the segment with something spiritual or religious or maybe even church-like or hymnal-like, you know. But every once in a while, you want to switch it up and play a little Molly Hatchet, people. Woo!
Great.
What kind of music did you listen to when you were a young man? You're still a young man, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, well, thanks. Growing up, you know, my mom and dad listened to big band, swing.
Oh, yeah.
And my older brothers listened to Casey, so that's kind of what I grew up with.
Right on, yeah.
Those are kind of my musical influence and everything.
Yeah.
And then in Ellsbury, a lot of the locals listen to country music and stuff. So there's a little country in there, but really grew up listening to Casey. And then when my parents would do their music and what have you.
Casey was, that's why it was so cool. Just in when I was working with people like Hewlett and Mark Close and those guys, and I didn't ever want to age them, but they started when they were really young.
Right.
So
when we were kids listening to that.
Yeah. So John Hewlett was doing the noon show, and we come home and have lunch. When we doing the noon show. And we'd come home to the house and have lunch and listen to Casey. There was Hewlett doing the news show. I was in high school, but, you know, Hewlett was only a couple of years older than I was. Right. He was like 20, 21 years old. And then Mark Close had the morning show, the Casey morning show, back in 77, 78. And he, too, was just a young man. So I wound up going to walking the hallways with these guys I grew up listening to.
Pretty amazing.
It really is. It was really Radio Rich and Bayless and Rick Bayless and all these guys. It was pretty amazing. So all right. So let me just you brought me Father Tom brought me a box.
Yeah, you'll have to work on opening it up. It's a multi-layered box, huh?
Wow,
now, there's another box, and.
Last week, he gave me prayers, which was really cool. Thank you for those, by the way.
You're welcome.
Utilize them to large degree. Oh, let me see. Whoa. This is. Uh-oh. It's a velvet box.
Velvet box.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Let me see. Oh, what is this, my friend? Hang on a second here. I've got to be able to see this. The obstacle is the way. Let me get my glasses here. Because, buddy, I can't see it. Hang on a second. It's a medallion of sorts.
Like a little coin pocket.
And it is. It says the obstacle is the way. Then it says, dude, I cannot see for the life of me.
Yeah, there's some tiny print on the back because you got a lot.
It says the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Now, that is a very complicated concept that initially you see, and you're like going, well, that doesn't make any sense, really. But it does.
Well, it does. Well, that's when I saw that on that coin. There's a whole bunch of them at this website called Daily Stoic. It really reminded me of you, kind of your attitude about life, because most people see an obstacle and they're done. Go around it or give up.
Yes.
The idea, of course, is to really power through the obstacle, to overcome it, and keep moving forward. So there's a little card that goes with it and everything, kind of explains it and everything.
Wow.
It really is so.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's an honor that you think of me in that fashion, and that you actually thought of me enough to give me this to keep in my pocket and to keep with me at all times, and remind me of that because I guess technically, yeah. I mean, I've actually always lived my life to a certain degree, believing that obstacles were opportunities, as opposed to things. Clearly, though, obviously, you people could call you Pollyannish about something like, how could you be that? I mean, this is terrible what happened to you. It's like, yeah, but what else am I? What choice do I have?
The other option's quitting.
Yeah, right.
And plenty of people do that.
Yeah, right.
They just give up.
Yeah. I sometimes think going back on it a year ago even, and how things have changed so dramatically for the positive in so many ways. And when I think about it, it scares me. Yeah, right. Because
that and God's providence.
Yes,
we've got to put our skin in the game, and grace is going to do some amazing things.
Absolutely, because I could not have done this without God. I could not have done without how I was made from the very beginning. In terms of my whole life, I've been that way, and never. It's like when people say they had a bad day, and I'm not being unempathetic to that, but I don't think I can honestly say I've ever had a bad day.
Oh, I have.
I mean, but you know what I mean, like
bad days.
Right. But it
Right.
depends on how you look at it, though.
Right.
And so, but when I think back on it, man, I think, I don't even want to think about the fact that in a matter of 24 hours, I lost 2 jobs.
Right.
I was like,
oh yeah,
wow. I mean, that was like. That was incredible. So, but I had a lot of help. I had a lot of help from angels like you and all of my people out there in Radio Free Allman land, and all my friends and my family, and so much help. And I think one of the things I love about this discussion is that I know that Hillary Clinton was often ridden hard for saying it takes a village, but it's not that she's not that far off.
Oh no, we definitely need a community of support.
Yeah,
because nobody's an island. We're not doing
right. But I won't though give Obama you didn't build that, somebody else made that happen, because that was his pretense for taking something.
Right. And dismissing accomplishments of other people.
Right. At least Hillary was like, it takes a village, and everybody. I was like, yeah, you're right, kind of Hillary. That's okay. After you lock her up, but yeah.
Well, this is the one I picked up for myself.
Oh, see that one.
It's Memento Mori is on the front of it.
Memento Mori. Yeah.
Remember death, and basically it's just a little reminder that at any time you can, be gone. So, it's got the skull on it to remind you of death, the hourglass for time, and then the flower in the vase, which of course is on its way out.
You could leave life right now, and it's true.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something.
So.
Reminder of mortality.
Right. So
thank you very much for this. This is so sweet of you to give this to me, and
well, this is the one that attracted me to the site, and then I found out they had all these different little coins for your pocket, and then I saw that one, and you came to mind.
Well, it reminds me, and you were able to remind me as well, and everybody knows that out there. Some people know that, some people don't realize it, that sometimes you just have to leave things in the hands of God. Sometimes you just that's what it's all about.
Right. Well, like that gentleman was talking about earlier in the 7 o'clock hour about patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're patient, God can really do amazing things in our life. I mean, we've got to show up. We just can't be passive.
Right.
But if we're patient, God's going to work a lot through our patience.
Interesting. Let me ask you something about the skull, because I was talking about Italy a while back in the show. And I remember going to Pisa, and beautiful, by the way, and the Leaning Tower and everything else. But that was not the most spectacular part of Pisa. It was the cemetery there. And the cemetery where they had these, the vaults, and they had people buried in this special area there. They were artists, they were poets, they were scientists, they were civic leaders, that kind of thing, throughout history. But I noticed one thing, and I noticed this all throughout Italy whenever I would see a grave, a gravestone or a vault or whatever, is there was always a skull and crossbones on it.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I assume just to serve as a reminder to people that we're all mortal. You know, you're looking down at this grave, but we're all going to occupy one of our own one day.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't bother looking it up. I think I did, and then I've since forgotten what it told me. But seeing that,
right?
Because really, honestly, sometimes people are kind of freaked out by a skull and crossbones or a skull.
Well, we don't like thinking about death.
No,
I mean, I don't obsess about it, but I'm mindful of it.
Right.
You know, I had a funeral Tuesday. I've got another one tomorrow. So my life is always surrounded by life and death and everything in between.
Yeah, that's an interesting life of a priest. Obviously. People don't really realize how demanding a role you have in people's lives. And people also don't realize how every day, it's almost like some people in an emergency room or people in any kind of first responder category see the fluidity of life and how it turns.
Yeah, my cell phone, that we all carry with us all the time, I made a decision when I went out to the parish just to make that known to the parishioners. So if there's an emergency, they can get a hold of me. Because otherwise, you call the parish, and it's like calling a business now. And you got to work through the phone tree. If it's an emergency, hit 7, and then hopefully the priest will get it if it gets forwarded to his phone or whatever.
Right.
So it's just easier, if it's really an emergency, call my phone directly. Don't ask what's at the fish fry or how much does bingo cost tonight. That would kind of irritate me. But... if it's an emergency call, I want to be contacted. I don't mind waking up. That's what my life's about.
Right, exactly. And in terms of the fluidity, I probably you like you say you're doing a funeral today or tomorrow
morning,
and then you'll do a baptism.
I got a wedding rehearsal tomorrow night.
Yeah, and then a wedding, and it just is, and then you'll also be occasionally going to a hospital where you'll either heal the sick or you'll.
Yeah, I think if you want to maintain your game well as a priest, you develop a bit of emotional detachment. I mean, it's still, things can really affect you, but, you got to switch gears. In one moment, you can be in a very sad occasion, hearing about maybe a dear parishioner dying, and in the next moment, you're laughing with somebody about something completely unrelated, and you want to try to move through those situations as smoothly as possible. Sometimes you can't. You get caught up in the moment, especially with sorrow, and, you get owned by it, and that's okay.
Right. Thinking about that and thinking about detachment, I've always been fascinated by this. And one of the things that I noticed when I worked in the Archdiocese, and forgive me if I can't sometimes remember whether we chatted about this on the air or chatted this off the air, but I remember in being with the Archdiocese, it was only 9 months, and working with the Archbishop there, Archbishop Burke, and we were oftentimes privy to certain pieces of information about priests and things that people had to go through and counseling and that kind of stuff, because they're human beings,
right?
And so people
absolutely.
But I noticed that when they discussed certain problems that some priests would have, they would have issues with, and they would call it the family of origin, as opposed to the family,
right?
And it's interesting how the Catholic Church. That phraseology always interested me, because, and I think we talked about when we talked about marriage a little bit, but that technically, is it true when you go through ordination and everything else, the church
becomes my family,
is your family,
right? Whatever my assignment is, and fortunate for me, it's always been a parish, because you could be in an office job too, and then your family, I guess, becomes your co-workers there. But in the parish, it really becomes your parish, your staff first, and then kind of the daily mass crowd. And then kind of the rest of the parish. That's how I kind of look at it in terms of relationship and familiarity and people that I know.
But it's interesting how they didn't just say your family, which technically, we know the family of origin, which is very interesting.
Your parents, your siblings. They want to look at what's the roots of cause, what's the problem. That's just, it may be manifesting now in your ministry, but where did it get its start at?
Yeah. And then it's not to say that the Catholic Church, for instance, separates you from your family.
No.
I mean,
not as a diocesan. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm close to my sister. My mom's still alive. I'll see her later today. She's in a nursing home, and a couple of my brothers are alive.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I noticed that in many cases in the past, sometimes even if a family member's mother is ill and at home, they've been known to move priests to a parish.
Oh yeah,
just a mile away from her.
Mom lived with me for 8 years, 6 years at Epiphany, and then 2 years out at IHM.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So it was really great, because my life allows me enough flexibility usually to take care of her pretty well most of the time. it finally got out ahead of me too much because he was just getting sick too often with urinary tract infections and things like that.
Right.
Just being an older woman. And,
Right.
And we had to make a really difficult decision about putting her in a home and everything. She's a Mother Good Counsel up in Normandy.
Oh yeah,
they do a great job.
Oh yeah, they do.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. I've known about them for a long time. It's a beautiful place too, by the way. Yeah. We talked about this, but we kind of ran out of time last time we talked about it to actually flesh it out. Especially as we look at what happened in Jefferson City, and then we're reminded what happened in Joplin, and then obviously what happens is uniformly, even when there's some kind of tragedy or accident or what have you, people talk about thoughts and prayers. Right. And of course, it's always roundly mocked by people who are like, where are your thoughts and prayers now?
Right, on the left.
Not good enough. But we talked a little bit about prayer last time you were here. And it's interesting. Is there a way to pray? I'm asking, it's like it's a dumb question, but is there a way to pray? I mean, is there a way to... what are you asking for? Are you asking for something from God?
Well, often we are. I mean, we are creatures, so we're dependent upon Him. I think when you look at the dynamics of prayer, and there's all kinds of ways to pray. The real thing we're trying to do is deepen our relationship with God, praise Him, thank Him, love Him, offer needs for ourselves, for other people, and then really place our confidence in God, that God is good and is good towards us and is going to bless us. Some ways that are obvious and often ways that are hidden and only become, we become more aware of in hindsight than in foresight.
So
we're not praying to change God. That's always one of the first things I tell people. We're not praying to change God. If anybody needs to change in the relationship, it's us. I need some massive changes in my life. God's pretty good. He's perfect.
Right, exactly.
But then tons of petitions. I mean, a lot of our life as Christians, and this is across the board, as all Christians, we all share in the priesthood of Christ because of baptism. I'm sharing at a different degree as a presbyter in the Catholic Church. But part of our priestly function as baptized Christians is to intercede for people, to pray for them all the time, to lift them up to God, that God is good, God is going to bless them. It may not be apparent to us in the moment, but it will become evident, hopefully, with eyes of faith.
And interesting when you say God's not the one who should be changed. Don't pray for him to change.
Right.
I'm reminded of that phrase, which I always thought was kind of funny, is that Jesus loves you. He's just not in love with you.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what that really necessarily meant. But
well,
it's just like,
here's how I look at that phrase. Use your hands. Here's the eternal you that God has seen from the beginning when He created. Who He wants Jamie Allman to be. Here's who you are now. Before checkout time, He's hoping you get to this hand.
Right. Yeah.
On eternity, this is the only one that's going to exist.
Yeah.
By God's mercy and everything. But we should be striving to become that person that God has created us to be.
Yeah. So you're saying then that it's not bad, for instance, to pray for the Blues to win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, sure, you can pray for that. I mean, I don't. I mean, I think sports are really low on my thing. It's like, aren't the Boston people praying that their team wins?
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's that great scene in a Bruce Almighty where he just answers all the prayers, and of course it screws up the world. Everybody wins the lottery. All their teams win. He just did the default answer all yes, and it was just comedic.
Do you like those movies? Do you like?
Oh yeah, they're funny.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to laugh at your own faith at times, you know, or general things about God. Trying to avoid being uptight as a Christian, as a real, because it is serious.
Yeah.
I mean, there's eternity and judgment and everything on the other side. But no, those movies are good, and sometimes they're actually a avenue for getting people to talk about faith,
right,
and maybe look at religion, how they're related.
Well, the George Burns movies.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What were those called again? Were they?
Oh God.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean that
John Denver, probably. That and the Muppets movies were the last things he made.
Right, exactly. Right. And it's funny because the Catholic Church is probably one of the most roundly cartooned of any church. But for instance, did nuns like Sister Act?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I guess some did. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because it portrayed them in a positive light. It was not negative. There's some little caricatures there, but it's not horribly so.
Yeah.
I mean, usually when a priest is on. In a TV sitcom or a movie, there's stereotypes.
Right, exactly.
He's a doofus. He's crooked. He's taking money, cheating with women, And now, of course, probably molesting children, unfortunately.
Yeah, of course.
So it's usually in a negative light. The most you can hope for usually is some sort of comedic value with the priest, where he's not a total doofus or something like that.
Well, that's like Father Guido Sarducci, right?
Oh yeah, boy. Now that's going way back to the early days of SNL, and they were funny.
When they were funny, exactly. Yeah, that's. I've always wondered whether or not, like for instance, when I saw the Book of Mormon, for instance, I thought that was a fabulous show. I
didn't see it, but I'm sure some Mormons probably found it offensive.
Well, I was.
You have to be able to laugh at yourself.
Well, I was afraid it was going to be offensive. I was afraid there were. And now, if you're a Mormon and you didn't like the show, forgive me, but when I looked at it, because I'm protective of all faiths, so I don't like any faith mocked or anything else.
You can joke about it,
right? Exactly. Right. So I went in thinking, I hope this isn't like just a religion is terrible type of thing, but it actually turned out to be a pretty good. As you point out, a vehicle for thought, maybe even for people. But boy, I'll tell you what, it was a pretty good show.
That's great.
We could do worse.
That's like Monty Python's Search for the Holy Grail. I mean, that's kind of making fun of Catholicism in particular at different times.
Yeah.
But it's very funny. It's one of my favorite movies. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially the cartoons where God's talking to them and he says, he's tired of all these dreadful psalms. Stop groveling, look up and speak to me.
Right.
It was.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you this because I'm not trying to pitch you against another member of the clergy, but I was at a mass last weekend, and it was a wonderful first mass for a person down at the Aquinas, the Jesuits there, and the head guy was the homilist. And he made a statement that I thought was interesting because, of course, this priest's mother had passed away 3 years ago. So there was a lot about his mom and about his mom and how he overcame all that kind of stuff. But he talked about moms in general, and he said there are only two people who actually can say that this is my body and this is my blood, and that is Jesus Christ and a mother.
Well, yeah, to the degree that the baby and of course that's one of the things that the baby and the mother do share a common blood.
Yeah.
During the whole pregnancy and everything, even though it is a distinctive body, it is 100% reliant on mom's nutrition.
Right.
Which is why we want to be careful with no smoking, no drinking, all those things that.
Right.
When we were growing up, you see women pregnant doing almost all the time. It really started changing our childhood, where I thought we got to take care of babies, so put down the cigarettes, don't have your beer or your wine or whatever.
Yeah, I think my mom was having a highball right before.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that was my mom's cocktail hours. That were everybody knew about them in Florissant.
Right, exactly. I was like, oh, here, will you put this in the refrigerator? I got to go to the hospital and have a baby.
Right.
Keep it cold, that kind of thing. All right, well, Father Thomas, always good to see you, my friend. And thank you very much for this honor of this beautiful medallion that I will cherish and keep with me at all times, my friend.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you for your love, and God bless you as well, my friend. That is Father Tom, and I think we're going to probably have to take off after this. I actually blew through a break here just because I wanted to talk further, so that's how we go. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. I'll be back with a spot here, and then we'll be done.
More Allman in the Morning coming up on 1380 and 105.3 The Answer.
Rick Pogue here with Arrowhead Building Supply, the region's #1 specialty exterior building supplier. Arrowhead has the widest range of exterior products, from the most economical and commodity items to our highest-end outside elegance collection. If you need a contractor, Arrowhead supplies products to hundreds of the best contractors and builders in the business. Call us for a contractor referral and rest easy. The Arrowhead Cube Home Visualizer tool means you can upload an actual photo of your home and change it with just a touch of your finger. Now you can be 100% confident in your selections before they are installed in your home. Our product showrooms are the largest and most beautiful in the industry. We make it simple to experience a full range of siding, roofing, window, door, deck, and even stone options for your home or business. Check us out at arrowheadbuildingsupply.com or visit an Arrowhead showroom near you today in St. Peters, Missouri, Peebly, Missouri, and Fairview Heights, Illinois. Arrowhead Building Supply. Building supplies for building success. arrowheadbuildingsupply.com.
All right, friends, MyPillow and Mike Lindell. You talk about a guy who's been through the ringer and came out swimmingly. That's Mike Lindell and MyPillow. So he has come back as an entrepreneur, and the MyPillow product is just fantastic. The coolest and most comfortable pillows you're going to find anywhere in the land is the MyPillow. And now you're going to get 2 for 1 when you drop my name, Jamie. So it's mypillow.com/Jamie for the pillow deal where you're going to get free shipping as well. And then also don't forget about the sheets. The sheets are awesome. Giza Dream Sheets grown in the beautiful Fertile Crescent. Actually, they didn't grow the sheets there, but the cotton that they use to make the sheets. High thread count and just cool and comfortable and luxurious like you're sleeping in a fancy hotel, except now you're getting 30% off the sheets and free shipping as well when you mention my name, Jamie. It's mypillow.com/Jamie.
KXFN St. Louis, K287BY St. Louis. Hey, want to talk with Jamie? Call 844-855-1380. 844-855-1380. And interact with Common Sense Radio. This is Allman in the Morning on 1380 and 105.3. The Answer.
All right, so good morning this morning. I wound up having another minute, Father Tom. I didn't know. I was just simply free forming there and thought maybe I was up against the clock, but that's the bottom line. All right, so tomorrow we've got Doug Giles, who is out with yet another new amazing painting. If you look at douggiles.art, and I'm assuming Doug will be in better health than he was last week, so look out for the warrior and the wild man, Doug. And also, I told you yesterday that we were going to have Alan West on with us. Apparently, there was some kind of scheduling issue or something, which is why you're like, I thought he was going to have Alan West on, which is why Alan West isn't on with us, because there was a little bit of a conflict. And of course, also tomorrow we're going to bring you up to date on all the things that are happening up in DC. But as I demonstrated yesterday, even with talk of other issues like school and even of faith and that kind of thing, you guys are hungry for information outside the Beltway, and so always try to make sure we bring that to you as well. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. Don't forget to download the Answer STL app. So check it out at theanswerstl.com. Have a great one.